I'm just pressing this to stream it to my stuff too. What's up, you guys? What's up, bestie? Happy Sunday. What's going
Thank
on?
you. I'm excited for a weekend with Bernie, if you know what I mean. Anybody else excited for the weekend with Bernie?
Yeah, Bernie's a little bummy because I was running late, so I didn't get time to do my Bernie before the Bernie.
we didn't do. I've also, you know what? I figured out it's not first day of school vibes for me because now I know if I put my YouTube on my phone, I could see that it goes live here. I don't have to be like fumbly bumbly in the beginning. So I feel like the new school, first day of school vibes are over, and we're kind of, I don't know what I'm doing yet, but it's a lot more smooth.
I know, right? It is like all of this stuff has been a learning experience, that's for sure. But I'm proud of myself. I took notes today I feel prepared.
Did anybody else watch the Business of Treatment movie? That's our topic for today, the Business of Treatment. I took notes as well so that if y'all didn't watch, we could talk about some of the highlights that I thought were highlights, that Tara Grace, Burn the Stigma, thought were highlights, and then whatever anybody else who watched the movie wants to put in the comments, whether you're catching the replay or whether you're watching us live. Everybody is welcome to chime in on what they thought about the movie, the business of recovery, and or what they think in general about the business of recovery. And specific to the movie, it was really about treatment, like 12-step treatment. Well, treatment in general, like rehabs, which are predominantly 12-step rehabs. That was the main part of what it is. It didn't really focus on therapy or how other types of, treatment that are not necessarily rehab. So that's kind of what we're talking about today. I do have a correction from last week. Y'all know we were getting in the zone with Brittany. And I have a correction. I said that my last time I was at a Britney Spears concert was the Circus concert, and that was Easter 2009. And I realized that is not true. That was mythology because I actually went to Britney Spears in Vegas in 2017. So I saw her Vegas tour with my niece, who was like, I don't know, like 11 at the time or something. But really, I love Britney. So that was, yeah. So there you go. Little Britney vibes over here. Okay, so Bernie, it looks like you just put the link to the video, the movie that we're going to discuss today. And if you didn't watch the movie, it's totally fine. If you're watching the replay and you want to watch the movie first, it is available for purchase at thebusinessofrecovery.com. It looks like, at least as of the date of that we're recording this. Okay, we have the Muppet says, I saw her on the Baby One More Time tour. My aunt took me to see Britney Spears. Yeah, it was totally a vibe.
Yeah, I think that's the one that I saw because I went to one Britney Spears concert. And it was my first concert ever, and I'm pretty sure that's what I went to. So,
what I'm curious, this is a little crowdsourcing here before we get into the business of recovery. Before we stand on business up in here, stand on recovery business. What was your first concert ever? Mine was the Rolling Stones. It was after a San Francisco Giants game at Candlestick Park in the Bay Area. But it was the Rolling Stones, and I was young, so I was kind of like, what is this about? I mean, obviously I knew who the Rolling Stones were, but it wasn't like it was my choice. It was like I was with my dad.
Aw, that's cute though. Yeah, like I said, mine was Britney.
It's Britney, bitch. I want to get in the zone. Okay, yeah, let's get in the zone, guys. So we have some people who watched the movie here. Kate says that she watched it. I don't know if Mr. Pug is here yet, but I saw that he said, oh, yep, here he is. Mr. Pug said he watched it. I saw him in the app. If you guys don't know, I have a deprogramming app. It's the first link below if you're on my YouTube. It's called Deprogram Lounge. It's free. You can come vibe it. Muppet says, where can I watch it? You can watch the Business of Recovery movie at I think it's thebusinessofrecovery.com. It was when I purchased it yesterday. It's available for download. I think it was like $6 or $5.95.
Yeah, it was said $6 and it was $5.95. I'm like, ooh, 5 cents cheaper.
Yeah. Cassandra says, happy Sunday, you guys. I set a reminder on my phone for Sundays. Awesome. Oh, there's more business to stand on before we get into the movie really quickly. Bernie and Bestie Live is going to have a new schedule now. There is not like a concrete schedule. The next Bernie and Bestie Live is going to be February 1st. And so we're So the next 2 Sundays, there isn't going to be one. And then there will be one on February 1st. I'll announce that on my own like post on YouTube. I'll be announcing that and inviting people and stuff like that and reminding y'all of when it is. So they're not going to be weekly anymore on Sundays. They might be at different days and different times. We're still figuring out how to do it best. And I personally love when you give us ideas for what to talk about. The idea for this week came from last week when someone said we should do the business of recovery.
Yes.
I just realized I forgot my light. So Bernie, how you doing? Let us know.
Oh man. Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
There's the light. I know. I got my dog yesterday was like running around and then knocked my light down. I thought it was broken, but luckily it's still working. So that's good.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you? So you turned it on afterwards and you had a white light experience?
Yes. Well, I had a what the fuck experience.
This is a bright light experience. I gotta turn the light down. I'm just getting in the zone over here, guys. Okay, that's better. I was like, why is my face so dark? I'm like, oh, because I didn't turn the lights on.
Turn on the lights.
All right. Okay, let's see what is going on in the comments. Dale, love you both. Thanks for this platform. Yeah, you're very welcome. For me, part of my vibe, and it actually was part of AA indoctrination that I've still kept, is to kind of be who I needed when I was going through a hard time. The idea of being like, no matter how far down the scale you've gone, you could see how your experience can benefit others. Oh, I should have done a trigger warning before I did the AA indoctrination. Oops. But for me, it's been a part of how I've lived, including after AA, to want to help people suffer less in ways that I've specifically suffered. So deprogramming AA was incredibly difficult for me. If you've been around here for a while, you know that. Hunter Grace, it can be brutal.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, with me, I didn't even know that's what the hell I was doing when I came on the internet. You know, I was just like sharing about how there's more than one pathway. And then I learned all of this stuff along the way. And I was like, I think it's one of those things, or at least for me, it's like once I learned that it wasn't just my personal experience, it wasn't that, you know, it works for some people and it doesn't work for some, that there was so much more to it, that I was like, I have to share this shit, because I know there are so many people like myself who keep trying the same thing over and over and over again because they think that's how it has to be. They think that's what recovery is supposed to look like. So yeah, for me, it's just one of those things. I want to like not do this anymore sometimes, but I can't. Like, I just can't shut up about it.
Totally. And in all transparency and honesty, the reason why I'm hesitant to committing to do a weekly weekend show every single weekend is because I'm actively, where I'm at in my own deconstruction journey, is that I'm in reconstruction. So I love talking about the deprogramming and the deconstruction, but part of what I also want to work on as my getting AA out of my head and all of it is reconstruction. So I have, like, socially, I have things that I want to do. Like, that includes building a life outside of alcohol, a life outside of Alcoholics Anonymous, a life outside of deprogramming. And so I don't want every weekend to be committed to something that has to do with who I no longer was. I want it to have the space to be who I am now and to cultivate those relationships and to cultivate that life and to have a thriving life outside of all of this. So I'm not done deprogramming. I'm definitely not done talking about it, but I do want to have some flexibility and like have the entire weekend off from all of it. Anything about alcohol, Alcoholics Anonymous, or deprogramming Alcoholics Anonymous, to just live, to just build life outside of all of that. And I actually think that that's a really important part of leaving AA, is to have that space where you're just enjoying the moment. You're building your life that has nothing to do with maybe having used something like alcohol compulsively in your past because you were emotionally dysregulated or for whatever reason.
Yeah, it is. The balance is difficult, right? Like, especially when your message is this, and then it's like the balancing of, like when I go on social media, it's all I talk about, but I have a whole life outside of this, it's just, it is the balance of finding it one through the whole journey is just, yeah, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I just work a shit ton and then I do this and trying to find the balance in between of creating, I mean, I have a good life. Like I'm not complaining about my life, but the balance of it all, like you said, is because like when I was in AA, my life was all about AA, going to all the meetings, doing all the things, every conversation I have. And yeah, if I look at my online, presence, it's all about this shit or about the treatment industry, but it's all the same stuff. So yeah, I totally am with you.
And I also like, it's also great to be anchored on purpose. I know as an
Totally.
ADHDer, and I know you're an ADHDer, and I believe this is just Kirsten's idea here. This is not like anything other than my idea. I think purpose is incredibly important for somebody with ADHD, especially somebody who ADHD or neurodivergent who formerly struggled with addictive usage of substances, right? In my case, alcohol. So I know that I've done genetic testing. I've done this is an ADHD tangent. I've done genetic testing. I've had assessment. Oh, somebody said they want you to see your dog. You want to grab your dog?
Well, I'm saying, well, they're about to. Hold on.
So I know how much purpose is important for my own like thriving in life and my own getting my dopamine and all of that and keeping my brain healthy. And that is very helpful if I focus on that in a productive way and then instead of a destructive way, like alcohol was destructive for me, right? Or whatever. So I don't think there's anything wrong if your purpose has to do with talking about something about your past. And quite often it does for people. So there's nothing wrong with that. And I might talk about deprogramming for years and years and years to come. I have no idea. I just know I'm not anywhere near done. But yeah, I want a little more space on my weekends. Let's see. Cassandra says, excellent point, Kay, about not having a set time. Life is for living and not rehashing old stuff. Yeah. And I mean, at the same time, it would also be kind of fun if every day we just hit live and shot the shit for a little while and had it less planned and more casual and then moved on with our day. So who knows how it will go. But yeah, I definitely want to have some weekends completely 100% off everything, screens, all of that, just for a little while, see how that goes. Ooh, cuteness. Who is this?
This is Blaze.
Oh,
he's my reactive rat terrier. Buddy, look at the camera. You're looking over
cutie.
there.
Hello, cutie. Hello, little baby.
He's like, nope.
Blaze. Hey, Blaze.
Are you camera shy? Yeah, he's camera shy. But this is him. He's a giant pain in the butt, but I love him. All right, go be quiet, okay?
Okay, I want to pull up this comment really quick. We have Football Madness Savage says, just left yesterday, so confused. Wow. Yes, the confusion. I relate to that. Feel like I've made the right decision, but AA fears of relapse are in my head. My WILE network are in AA. By network, I mean my partner, my ma'am, and sibling. Yeah, I didn't have any family members in AA when I left. I've heard from a lot of people how difficult that is. I was definitely confused. The word I use is actually more aggressive than confused. The word that I used in my head when I left AA was mind fucked. I just felt completely mind fucked because I was like, wait, who am I? What am I? What is addiction? Is it safe to leave? Am I going to die? Because I was convinced I was going to drink and die. Right. And that conditioning was that belief was very, very deep in my head. So I felt completely mind fucked because my gut was telling me to leave. I felt like it was all baloney, but then the brainwashing was like this, you're not safe. And that's in our nervous system too, isn't it? Because if we don't feel safe, we're having a threat response. We're having like a physiological reaction. We're stress chemicals, we're having a biological experience. We're having adrenaline, we're having cortisol, we're having all sorts of stress chemicals, like 30 plus stress chemicals flooding through our system, telling us physiologically that we're not safe. So we're going to be in fight, flight, freeze, or maybe even fawn, right? Depending upon how you look at sympathetic nervous system reaction. So it can be very uncomfortable and very confusing. And I found for me that the intellectual part of it was very important when I left, like understanding like looking into the science, looking into the reality of the situation, because that really helped ease through facts and science. It helped ease my system a bit. Plus, I needed exposure to people who left and weren't dead. Like I didn't know people. And for me, it was specifically, not only did I want exposure to people who left and weren't dead, but who left and weren't angry. I was angry. I didn't want another angry person leading me out. I wanted to see that somebody had gotten through the anger that I was currently feeling. So for me, I couldn't find anybody who left and wasn't angry. The anger makes sense.
Yeah.
I was angry, but I wanted a leader who like had what I wanted, or like a role model is a better way to say it. A role model of somebody who had been through the bullshittery of leaving AA and came out the other side and seemed somewhat stable and like, okay. So yeah, there was a lot that came up for me. So confused is a great word.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, adorable. Blaze is adorable. Kate says, "Oh, he's adorable." Yeah, he sure is.
Wait, Vic? What, Vic? I'm a bit behind, but I was also in 1981 at the Rolling Stones in Candlestick Park both nights. Yeah. I don't know if I was there in 81, but how old was I? What year was that? I went to the Bridge to Babylon tour where they were on the stage there, and then they had like this like center square in the middle of the ground audience. I was up on a stadium seat, and then they had this whole bridge that went out into like the middle of the audience, and then they walked across it, then the bridge retracted, then they were in the middle of the huge, like on the field, right? Like in front in the crowd. So it was the Bridge to Babylon tour, which was probably late 80s, 88, 89, I don't know, but similar. All right, Vic. What's up? Okay, let's see what Rick has to say. Good morning, Rick.
Good
AA
morning.
claims the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. That was my experience going to AA. Yeah, and then Rick is like a miracle story of leaving AA, right, Rick? Where you had those migraines all the time, and then you left, and like you physiologically felt better from not being in there. I think we underestimate, I know I did, how toxic it could be to listen to demoralizing and degrading and disabling rhetoric constantly. I was like on the pink cloud. I was like like drunk on the AA Kool-Aid, and I didn't realize until I left how toxic it was. You know?
Yeah, and like I know for me it was constantly just trying to do all of these things so that my disease wouldn't get me. I was just constantly, when I was in the program, when I was like really working it, I just felt like I was on this forever treadmill, and like I could never get off, because if I get off, that meant that I wasn't doing enough for my recovery. And it was just, I still have anxiety, but the anxiousness that I felt back then was just so crazy. But I mean, when you think about it, none of that stuff is really, like, when you're doing something like that, it's not sustainable. Eventually you're gonna slow down and fall off of the friggin' treadmill. Rick said, "Yep, the headaches left me when I left AA."
Okay. We have 1976 Rolling Stones, Anaheim Stadium. Woohoo! Love it. Okay. You know, I stand corrected. Okay. You guys, my memory on concerts is shit. Okay. I thought that my last Britney concert was Circus, but actually it was in Vegas. And now we have some facts up in here. Thanks, Vic. I love being corrected, and I stand corrected right here. He says the Bridge to Babylon was Oakland Coliseum, 1997. I totally stand corrected. And then he says it was right around Halloween, and I was there both nights again. So you know what I'm realizing right now? I completely I'm not good on the concert memories. Okay. You know what, though? I didn't even go to many. I should be good at it, because I was at the rave for a decade. I was in all the warehouse parties, like in San Francisco and the East Bay and all that back in the day. So here you're saying Bridge to Babylon was in 97. Now I'm realizing this is so embarrassing how, you know, the memory can be kind of funny. My first concert was not the Rolling Stones at Candlestick. My first concert was the Beach Boys at Candlestick when I was really little. And I remember, because I was obsessed, you guys watched TGIF back in the day. I loved Full House, and Uncle Joey was like a vibe. And Uncle Joey was playing as the drummer or some position in the band with the Beach Boys at that concert at Candlestick Park. So the Beach Boys was my first concert with my dad. And later, apparently in 97, I went with my dad as well to the Bridge to Babylon tour. And that was later.
I remember the Full House special when the Beach Boys were in the Full House episode.
Beach Boys, Rolling Stones, not the same. You know what? It was concerts with my dad, like my dad taking me to like his music choice. And like also my dad was a huge Grateful Dead fan. I saw somebody in here had something about the Grateful Dead early. Where did it go? An RIP. Where was that comment? Here we go. Yeah, RIP Rob. We're 78 Grateful Dead. Yeah. You know, when I was choosing rehabs, I was choosing between the rehab that I ended up going to, which is non-12-step, and the other one that I called up is the one where Jerry Garcia died. He died at a rehab in the Bay Area. And so I called them, but they were 12-step. And so I didn't want to go to a cult religion. So I got on an airplane and I flew and paid more to avoid AA. But in hindsight, it didn't help me avoid AA because, and it's not even, it was through doing these Bernie and Besties that I realized like how much AA infiltrated my non-12-step rehab, because we had somebody coming every week recruiting for AA that we had to go to. And I didn't remember that until we're unpacking it here. That not only did the technician who worked at my rehab have 5 years sober in AA, so she was obviously indoctrinating me because she's talking about addiction through AA ideology. But I remember the first AA meeting that was required in the rehab, I said to him, "Why are you calling yourself an alcoholic? That's a bad word." Yeah. Okay. Should we jump in?
Yeah. Let's do it. Do it.
Okay, so anybody watch Business of Recovery? It was 2015, 2016, the movie was made and came out. And so the stats that they gave were from 10 years ago. And so they said in 2015, 47,000 Americans died of an overdose and about 88,000 died of excessive alcohol. So I felt like they were starting off and ending with the theme of people dying through addiction.
Yeah, for sure. I remember, I don't know if you still have them handy, but I remember one of our Bernie, I should have asked you before we hit record, but I remember one of these Bernie and Bestie labs I think you had said it was something like 65%, because I know in the movie they said something, it was like 90. I can't remember if they said 90 or 95% of treatment was 12-step based.
Yeah.
So 90%. And then I feel like when you looked up something in more recent times, was it like 65% now?
Yeah, it went down over the years. I don't remember the exact stats, but it was something like in the 1990s, 90% of the treatment centers, the rehabs, the institutions were 12-step. And then it went down to 80%. And then I think it said more recently, like in the past couple years, it's around 65%. I don't remember if that's exact. I hate saying stats when I can't be sure and confident, but it was showing a trend downwards and less of them are 12-step based. But like I just said, what the heck does that mean? Because I literally paid double and got on an airplane to fly to a rehab that claimed to be non-12-step. And I still went to my first AA meeting while I was a part of that facility. So was it really non-12-step? Can you really get non-12-step? The indoctrination is so pervasive. It's freaking ridiculous. When I look at it now, it's like, it's a miracle if we don't end up in 12-step with the level of indoctrination.
Yeah. I really do wonder if there is residential, like mainstream residential treatment that isn't, something that someone would really realistically go to when they're looking up treatment and pull something up and it says non-12-step treatment and it's not something that they have to like dig and find. Is there really places that don't even offer an outside meeting, because obviously I can't say this for sure. I have no clue, but I feel like you're at least going to get a few outside meetings every week, like at the minimum. And then I just feel like so much of recovery, like dogma, just the different things that people say about it being a lifelong fight and all that stuff, it may not exactly be, the steps, but where is that coming from? Not science. It's coming from the big book. It's coming from there. So, much to your point, I think, that 65% currently now, whatever it is, we know it's less than what it was when this movie was out. Is it really that? I doubt it. I doubt it.
Yeah. Every day, over 6,300 seek some sort of addiction treatment in the United States. 10 years ago, that's stats from that. And 10 years ago, it was a $34 billion business. Isn't it weird how expensive treatment is and how cheap AA is? Meaning just money, because I don't think AA is cheap or free. I think it's free labor exploitation. I think that's very expensive. Here I am almost 6 years out of AA and I'm still deprogramming, getting that baloney out of my brain. So I do not think that it's cheap or free. But as far as the actual physical dollars that you spend, it's so weird that one is like $1 or $2 in the basket a day, and one of them is like $1,000 or $2,000 a day. Let's see. We have some comments over here.
Yeah. Green Mountain Mama said, I searched for a non-12-step trauma-based rehab, and the first thing they did after the cavity search was hand me a big book. Yeah. I don't think that I've been to a treatment center that hasn't handed me a big book, or at least like runoff copies of parts of the book. But I'm sorry that you literally searched for one and that's what you got.
Wait, is cavity search normal? I'm hearing about this right now. I'm today years old when I'm hearing cavity search.
So for me, my experience, I don't know if this is considered a cavity search, but it was like a bend and squat thing, but they didn't like look up my butt like that. You know what I'm saying? But it was definitely same thing I did in prison was bend and
And you were not wearing clothes?
No, I was naked. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I never heard of this before. I'm just huh?
I guess it's like so normal to me that I don't even think twice of it, but yeah.
They searched my bag when I got to rehab. Also, I went for alcohol, so maybe it's a different situation. You can't hide a bottle of vodka. Well, I couldn't fit a bottle of vodka anywhere. I shouldn't have said that. That would have been.
We all have our talents.
Yeah. So. And when I worked at a rehab and would check people in and would check their stuff, I would check their bags, not their bodies. Okay, so that's just new information for me.
Mr. Pug said, yes, I watched it. It totally blows the whole recovery industry apart. I liked that they gave the steppers the voice as well as the critical thinkers and left the audience to decide for themselves. Yes, dude. It was like, maybe it's because I've deprogrammed and stuff, but listening to the steppers on that, the people who like ran the programs, they felt, and I don't mean this to be rude, they felt like cartoon characters, like just what they were saying. They were so confident and so like thought they were just making so much sense, and it did not.
Totally. As there was even one guy, I was like, he is so creepy in that I'm so indoctrinated and drunk off the Kool-Aid. And I just have this grin on my face, like it's the best thing ever. And you're going to get it too. And I'm like, ah, like when, like it, or like a weird clown who's like, kind of like, that's a horror film.
Oh, man. Football Madness Savage 184 said, I told my little girl, Mommy is not doing her meetings anymore. Her reply is, so you can spend more time with us now, Mom? AA has taken away from my family. Oh, I'm so happy for you and your daughter, but you are definitely don't don't, feel guilty about that, because that's part of it, right? That's part of the indoctrination. And that's the whole, whatever you put in front of meetings in this program, you're going to lose anyways. So you got to put this meeting first. You got to do, work this program first, because your family that you care so much about, you're not going to have them if you don't put, so it's part of the fear. It's part of the indoctrination, but I'm excited for you and your family.
Yeah. And what I want to say as far as football madness, savage, we deliberately did not plan the next Bernie and Bestie on Super Bowl Sunday. We're like, let's do it the week before. we don't want to compete with the Super Bowl. Chris says, I hate recovery programs that use AA. I was threatened with homelessness from my sober living home just because I preferred a job over AA meetings from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. every day.
Yeah, I feel like that's such a common sober house struggle. Like, I feel like every time you're in sober living and, you want it, they tell you to build your life back up and do all these things. It's like you finally get a job. And then it's like, oh, well, if it, competes with meetings, well, that's not the job for you. And it just, yeah, that's super frustrating. And yeah, they will kick you out, like, over just stupid behavioral things, like not going to enough meetings. They will kick you out on your ass.
369. It's so funny. Whenever I see your name, especially now I know why you named yourself this, I first think of like there's all these memes on social media now where they, like, the junior hires are going 6'7", and then it clips to like a somebody like a Gen Xer going 369 to the window, to the wall. Anyways, y'all know I can't help myself with the energetic burst. Existential Counselor Society outside Chicago offers non-12 step. I love that. Thank you. Thank you for putting that down. That would be interesting to have like if there isn't already a list of non-12 step treatment centers, to like aggregate one as like a resource.
I was going to say that guy.
Gold Nugget. What is up, Gold Nugget? Good to see you here. Williamton Treatment Center in North Carolina teaches CBD and DBT classes all day. Awesome. Traditional and non-traditional outside peer groups do commitments there. I love it. And I have a podcast coming up the first Tuesday of February, all about a program called, I say it wrong every time. I want to say Mara. It's Mara. Have you guys heard of Mara? So Mara is medication assisted treatment. Sorry, medication assisted recovery anonymous. And you do not need to be on medication to go. It's just the two differentiators between Mara and AA just off the bat is that it's not religious. So there's no religious dogma. The whole spiritual experience is not there. And also you can be on medication and still be sober or clean. I don't like the word clean so much. I don't know why. I just like, who was dirty? It doesn't anyway. So yeah, I went to one of those meetings last week. I did an interview for the podcast, and I can't wait to share more about you with that program. Hey, Gold Nugget, if you want to put the link to the Mara website if anyone's interested in checking out what those meetings are. I really enjoyed the meeting. It's not 12-step at all. There's literally 12 steps in Mara, but it's not 12-step, if that makes sense. It's not affiliated with Alcoholics Anonymous in any way. The commercial break is over. To the window, to the wall.
The sweat dripped down my balls.
Okay, you can take that line, okay? Because I'm not going to go there, but you can go there.
I'll go there.
Better work, bitch.
Stingo said, I have been to rehab twice and was told if I don't attend the meetings, I would be asked to leave. And the thousands of pounds I had spent to get into rehab would have been for nothing. Yeah, and sadly, that's not an uncommon thing. That is, I feel like that's just treatment 101. That is the vibe. If you don't, then get out and you're not getting your money back.
Okay, so Green Mountain Mama, thanks for commenting back about this. It was naked, bent, and squat, dehumanizing. Yeah, that just pierced me in your comment. I was just felt like, horrified, and I was like, is this normal? Like this sounds horrific to me. It sounds dehumanizing is what it sounds. And then we have this one. I went for alcohol as well, and it was voluntary.
Yeah, I hate it, but I feel like you actually see the naked bend and squat. Like I feel like I've always had a strip search, but the I feel like the bend and cough thing comes with actually in more like trauma based stuff because people it's not just drugs and alcohol, right? There might be like people who are sneaking in like a razor or something like that. So I feel like they're just over like they I guess it's partly for safety, but it's
Tara
it's
Grace, how is
yes.
sticking a razor up your ass safe?
Well, you gotta like wrap it up a little bit.
What is even happening right now? I'm having like I'm in shock. I might have some PTSD from this.
But
People
yeah.
stick razors in their cavities and stick it and break them into rehab.
Yeah, if it's like if you're like trigger warning here, but if you have like cutting tendencies,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Okay, now
Yeah.
I'm following. I just like
Yeah. You're
I'm
like
not
they're cutting up
emotionally
their
prepared
coke.
for this.
Yeah.
Okay, now I get it. I
Yeah.
get it. Okay. Okay.
Sorry, yeah, if you weren't thinking of that context, that probably would be freaky.
I was today years old when I stopped being naive. Yeah, mommy. Can I go back to the Rolling Stones and Beach Boys concert with
Oh, man.
Everybody's got surfing.
Go to your happy place. 369 says, yes, cavity search is normal. No touching now. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've never had anyone touch me. Many use in facilities I was at. Yeah.
Kate asks, are detox and rehabs in same location? And it's yes and no.
Let's see.
There are some places, and I'll speak for what I understand with San Francisco. I heard this from people sharing AA meetings. I did not go myself. So it's what I heard over and over in San Francisco Alcoholics Anonymous is that people would go for 3 or 4 or 5 day alcohol detoxification centers that were not attached to anything else. You would go there and detox safely, get off alcohol safely, go through your withdrawals, get on medication, whatever they did to you, and specifically a detoxification, medical detoxification center. There's also rehab centers, which may or may not have that detoxification thing to varying degrees. That's very individual. Like for me specifically, I was told by everybody at the rehab, which was just a handful of people, it wasn't a big rehab, but they had all gone through the very first week of rehab. They all went through their detox week. It was known as detox week at my treatment center. And they would go through this period where they, were excused from a lot of the groups or the therapy or like whatever, no equine therapy that week. And as that came up in our movie, The Business of Recovery, and that lady talking about we only have certified horses that are trained therapists, I was like, I'm not speaking this language. I don't know what you're talking about. But let's have safe horses in rehab. Like I don't even understand how this is the thing. I was scared of animals when I was in rehab. I was so anxious. I did not go near any horses. I opted out of equine therapy. It was not therapeutic.
The guy on there who's like, I don't even like horses.
I was like, you are so relatable. I was like, I'm literally having a panic attack and physically shaking from being ripped off benzos. I do not want to be near an animal that knows I'm freaked out because they know I'm freaked out. I know we all know I'm freaked out. Do not let me be around an animal that can hurt me that knows I'm freaked, because it's not the horses will know. Dogs know. They know when you're freaked out. Anyways, so my treatment center, because I had been on Klonopin, a benzodiazepine, I'd take 1 in the morning, 1 at night as prescribed by my psychiatrist, right? And I was on those for 2.5 years. So when I got to treatment, I did not go on a detox week. They did nothing with me. I was in all the groups and everyone was like, why are you in music therapy? Literally we'd listen to a song and then write about it. They called everything therapy. It was kind of weird in hindsight. We had art therapy where we tie-dyed outside on the lawn. Like it was all just like, I don't know. They were charging a lot of money to entertain us with a lot. And, to be fair, I didn't drink the entire time I was there. Right. So it did help. But I asked a couple days into rehab, how come I'm not on detox week? Everybody talked about detox week. And then they said, you came in on the detox meds. When people arrive here for alcohol, we put them on benzodiazepines. You've already been on the benzodiazepines. So we're going to keep you on your regular dose for the first week. That's your detox week. And then week 2, we're going to detox you from the benzodiazepines, from the detox meds. So my understanding is the detox and the rehab often go together. They're going to detox you if you go to rehab. You're going to be medically, well, ideally, unless you're at some rogue center, right? If you're coming off heroin, if you're coming off alcohol, if you're coming off something that it can be harmful to come off of, like benzos, then there's going to be a medical situation like detox. But there's detox is also separate from rehab. What would you say, Tara Grace?
I was going to say majority of my experiences with detox, it was a detox facility. And then from the detox facility, you would work with your like case manager, whoever they were for the week that you were there, to get placed into treatment. There was 1 or 2 places, and I think it was 2 places in Texas that I went to that it was the whole shebang in the building. You know, I did the detox and then went downstairs to the treatment. But for it, especially in Massachusetts, I feel like majority of the places are you go to medical detox and then you get placed in a treatment center. That's just my experience. Rick Jones. I agree. I was thinking of that. Mike Jones. Okay, sorry. I agree. 12-step and AA thought stopping jargon is all pervasive in society. You can't escape it. We only recognize it and cringe. Absolutely. People who have never been to a meeting, people who have no experience will recite it just because that is what society thinks and quote unquote knows about recovery and substance use disorder. It's quite wild when you really think about it. And like none of it comes from science or facts. It's a faith-based program that people and doctors and everybody is reciting like it's normal. It's quite terrifying, if you ask me.
Football Madness Savage is saying, it is my son's YouTube account. I love it. Well, let your son know we are not going to try to disrupt any football Super Bowl Sunday. There's no Bernie and Bestie. We could live stream the game, right? We could commentary.
Imagine. I would definitely have to be stoned for that one.
Mr. Pug, good evening, Mr. Pug. It is tea time, isn't it? The steppers in that documentary, The Business of Recovery, just look so brainwashed, brain dead and brainwashed. Yeah. You know what? One of the guys in my notes I have here, he said that NA meetings created cravings. Mm-hmm. That he would go to NA meetings fine and he would leave wanting to use. So I love, yes, there were people that looked brainwashed. And then there were people that were saying things like this. And this is a message I don't feel like that it's like highlighted enough, that some people get triggered into relapsing through the ideology being harmful. You know, it works if you work it, even though there's 90 to 95% failure rate. And also rarely have we seen a person fail and all of that. And you have a disease. Somebody else was saying that because he was told, where is it? Believing you have a disease. Oh, the study that they talked about was believing that you have a disease makes you more likely to relapse. It becomes an excuse that you believe, because you believe it's inevitable that you're going to pick up again or drink again, that you do. And that they did a study that indicated, that showed evidence of that supported that.
Yeah. I mean, I know for me, I definitely feel like because of what I thought, especially towards the end, like I was picking up just because I thought that was going to happen. But one of those guys, the AA guy, it cracked me up because he was just a guy who went to AA, but he said something like, I've sponsored 150 men and only 5 of them, you know, have got it. And then like it cuts to the next scene and he's like, AA works. And it's like, you just said.
Oh, okay. He said, I quoted him because I was like, I got to write down what this guy's saying. I sponsored 150 men in 25 years and he said, only 6 got it. Yeah. That's a 4% rate. 19 out of 20 don't make it. And then he said, it works if you work it.
But what's so harmful about that is that people believe that the ones it doesn't work for, they will see an overwhelming amount of people that it doesn't work for. And they were like, but it's their fault. They didn't do the steps. They didn't do this. They weren't honest. They didn't surrender. Like, it is always something. And it's just, I mean, I don't know. It's just wild to me. Julie said Practical Recovery has non-12 step in San Diego, run by the founder of Smart Recovery, Tim Horvath. Very cool. Very, very cool.
You're right. Mara pronunciation. Yeah. In my head, it's Mara. And then I was like, oh, it's Mara. And I had to really think about it. Just like, you know, a lot of people, hey, Tara Grace, a lot of people call you Tara, don't they?
They sure do.
Yeah.
I don't even correct them anymore.
Yeah. A lot of people call me Kristen. So there's certain words that I think that it's people like mispronounce. So for Mara, I was saying, I wanted to say Mara, and then I had to be like, no, it's Mara. Like, yeah, I had to really think about that. But it's Medicated Assisted Recovery Anonymous. And I had to, have you guys heard about this? I've just only recently heard about it through Gold Nugget here. And I wish that non-harmful recovery paths were mainstream known, that we knew that we can go to the buffet and know what's on the table and that all the options could be there to choose from. And that we wouldn't have people saying you can only choose from AA, because it seems like the narrative is AA is what it is. Like, I've never watched, well, maybe once, I don't know. Anytime I watch a movie or a TV show or whatever, and there's some sort of someone getting sober, they're always talking about meetings, and then they're talking about spiritual solution, and they're talking about live and let live. There's language, like the loaded language is dripped in the documentary or the movie or whatever. But it's never about, my therapist said do CBT and go to SMART meetings. Like, I don't hear that. I don't hear go to Mara. But when I was like, oh, it's Mara, like Tara. I was like, that's what I got. Some of these things I have to, like, in my head say a bunch of times, so I build that neural pathway so I don't mess it up. Green Mountain Mama says, is anyone else finding that deconstructing AA is leading to deconstructing everything? Bang, bang, bang. Nail on the head. Yes, yes, yes. That's me. It's me. Anybody else getting really fucking liberated? And it's like, whoa, this shit goes so deep. It's like, once you get real conned, you start looking around with new eyes and you're like, wow. I feel like it was the biggest intellectual upgrade ever to like catapulting my intellectual understanding of things to start my deprogramming journey. Because yeah, I look around at everything and I'm like, wait, what the fuck? What have we been told? Who's telling the story? What's the mythological origin story? Like, to find out that Bill didn't just look at what the first 100 were doing and then write it down, that really it wasn't 100, and really, like, that's not how it happened at all. It's literally the Oxford group steps. And oh, by the way, he was in the Oxford group until 1937. So Founders Day, the day is a lie. Like, that's Dr. Bob's sobriety birthday, but Dr. Bob was literally for over 4 years inside the Oxford group, not in Alcoholics Anonymous. Like, it wasn't there. So I look at everything. I'm like, well, what is the origin myth here? What's the narrative that we want to believe? Like, all of it.
Yeah. Question everything and do your own research on everything.
My question for you, Green Mountain Mama, is what are you currently deconstructing besides Alcoholics Anonymous? Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun. We need a sound machine.
Exactly. 369. I want to dance.
369 said to @7285, damn number. I specifically worked second shift so I could miss them, and the job was brutal, but I stayed with the job as long as I could miss the meetings. Yeah. I'm surprised they let you.
Okay, Football Madness Savage's mom says, how do you feel about other 12-step programs, specifically ACA, healing, inner child work through 12 steps, codependency, or Al-Anon, all from the same pot, the big book? For me, only feel comfortable staying in my lane, really, meaning I only did Alcoholics Anonymous. I've been to some, but I've been to less than 10 Al-Anon meetings. I've been to less than 10 NA meetings and less than 10 ACA meetings. So while I have gone to some ACA, NA, and Al-Anon, and I went to NA as a rehab worker, right? That's why I took the druggy buggy there, right? But I did go to ACA on my own, and I honestly found the meetings incredibly, like, I physiologically could not be in those meetings because I got so dysregulated by those meetings. I had to bounce. It was like my system did not, I was so destabilizing to be in those meetings. I don't know if it was my hypersensitivity picking up on other people's dysregulation. I don't know what it was, but it physiologically didn't feel like stable for me. It didn't feel safe for me. So I can't speak to what I think about these things, but anything rooted in 12-step ideology, if they're teaching powerlessness, if they're teaching fatal progressive disease, to teach somebody that Al-Anon is a disease, it's no, if your husband is an asshole, that is not a disease. Like, he's like, I just don't agree with the core philosophy of 12-step. Have you been in other 12-step programs, Tara, where you can speak from experience?
I mean, I've gone to a couple here and there, but I know enough about the big book being the text, as someone who was like, did CAAA, where we use the big book, to know that if the big book is the foundation of the meetings, then it's a no for me. Like my mom tried Al-Anon a few times, and she was talking about how like they were celebrating that it had been so long that they hadn't spoken to their child. Like that was like something that they were celebrating. And she was absolutely horrified. I don't have a ton of personal experience with it, but I feel pretty confident in saying that anything that uses the big book of AA, I don't support. I mean, maybe there's more to it, but if that is your foundational text and you are teaching people about the, allergy of the body and the spiritual malady and all of that stuff, I don't see how it could be a good thing. That's just my personal, opinion on it. But yeah,
I have heard from people who have deconstructed AA and really like ACA and get a lot out of it. I think it's very individual. And the only thing I can stress is that it's really important to trust ourselves and honor our path, meaning where I'm at in my journey is not going to be where somebody else is in theirs. And how I think about things when I think critically is going to be different than somebody else. And there's no right or there's no wrong. There's no bonus points for betraying yourself and trying to do what somebody else says that they're doing, or what somebody else tells you to do. I think it's about deciding for ourselves. To me, that's freedom and autonomy, is when we choose for ourselves without a death threat, without being coerced, without being bullied into it, without having like belonging taken from us if we don't like capitulate or surrender to the ideology. So if you're finding healing and growth and progress in any program, then that's your own business, and that's a great thing.
Do you?
Lydia says, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, go ahead.
There was a lady in my group who in 2001 spent 7 months in a state-funded rehab. I think she was more fear indoctrinated from the rehab than drugs or alcohol. Yeah, I think somebody said that. Was it in the movie or somebody in my comments recently? That it made them worse, that the indoctrination was worse. Oh, yeah. It was, I don't know if he's on here. Cycle of Growth, are you here today? There was a comment yesterday that was like 12-step ideology, 12-step indoctrination was worse than active addiction. And that leaving AA was harder. Or leaving AA was harder than active addiction and getting sober in the first place.
Yeah, 100%. I say all the time that it has been way more to recover from 12-step than it was to recover from heroin. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right, but Tierra never had a bend and squat, even in a psychiatric hospital. Really? I'm so sorry you had to do that, Tara. Well, I'm so happy that you didn't. But yeah, I thought it was par for the course, because any dual diagnosis or any, emergency psych hospital that I went to was a little naked bend over. Rick Jones said, I can't unhear Bernie's razor story. Let me make it clear. It wasn't me putting the razor up my butt, okay? It's just that they wanted to make sure that you didn't bring a razor or drugs or anything of the sort in your bum bum.
I can't unhear it either. Rick, I feel you.
Wrap it up. And Tira said, detox was always separate from rehab for me.
Kate says, I was in emergency room and then straight to psychiatric rehab and wasn't body cavity searched. And then Green Mountain Mama says, I quit drinking a week before rehab, so that wouldn't have to go through the detox there. They still made me because they charge additional thousands of dollars for it. It's so brutal what we experience. We're so vulnerable. And it's just the things that the lack of like certification. I mean, that's something that came up in the movie, right? That sober living homes were, at the time at least, unregulated, no licensing, little or no education required to work in treatment. They showed a job application for some like medical-ish kind of position, and the requirement for the job was 2 years in a 12-step program. It's like, what the fuckery is that? I mean, that's some serious bullshit. That should be medical malpractice. You need to be a committed cult member in order to work here with like it doesn't even make any sense. But we're so vulnerable, aren't we? We barely know which way is up. So we get like all this stuff happens and we don't even know our rights a lot of the time.
What's funny about the sober house thing is I'm pretty sure to this day, pretty much anyone can still open a sober house. And I remember when I heard that, I was like, isn't that so beautiful? Anybody can open up a sober house, like meaning that, like, thank goodness we don't have to have all of these qualifications and such. Just a person who wants to help other people and someone who's been through the, in my mind, it was always going to be someone who has been through the program, who just wants to help other people. Like, I thought that was a great thing before when I was, all big booked out. But now I realize how harmful and dangerous. And the other thing, I don't think the movie touched on this, but so many of these sober houses, like a sober house is supposed to, because there's no professionals there, is supposed to provide you a sober house. That is it. But there are so many sober homes that operate like mini programs and have all of these different things that you're supposed to do. It's not legal, but people get away with it and people do it.
Yeah. One part of the movie that I thought was interesting is that they have a low bar for evidence, but what evidence-based means. Yeah. They were all like, we're evidence-based. And yeah, they were so creepy. Like, it's just when you see the baloney, it's really creepy for me to hear somebody that's preaching something that is so harmful, so inaccurate, and they're at the same time making $500,000 a year. Are we going to talk about the salaries? Because like, what the fuckery? But the low bar for evidence-based. So if there's 20 or 200 studies saying that something's not working, and then you have one that says that it works, the conclusion is it works. And then what is the outcome, though? Is the outcome, this is what they brought up in the movie, right? The Business of Recovery. Is the outcome abstinence in 1 year? And often it's self-reported. Then you get this guy in the movie saying, yeah, I was drunk, but I'm not going to say I'm drunk because it's embarrassing. So I said, yeah, I'm doing great. So they say they have these 80% success rates, and it's all self-reported on the phone. They're calling patients in their treatment centers later and asking them how they're doing. And that the guy said he was embarrassed to say that he was drinking. So he said he was sober.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's common. And I hate because I feel like it plays into the lying addict stereotype, right? But I've talked about this before. It's like we always talk about addicts lie and all this stuff, but it's like, because telling the truth isn't safe. If you are going to try to lie and maybe get some pee from somebody else, because if you don't, you're literally going to be homeless. It's not, ooh, the sneaky addict, right? It's the person in survival mode trying to make sure that they have a place to sleep at night. But it's so that conversation, kind of like the way that doctor, when he was describing how he's had people bring in the fake pee and look him straight in the eye and tell him, things. I know it's true. I know that those things happen, but it's like, well, do you kick them out of your clinic if they have a positive dirty, if I don't want to say dirty UA, if they have a positive drug screen, do you kick them off? Do you make an environment to where they feel comfortable to say, hey doc, I'm struggling and I used this weekend? Like, why would somebody go through that trouble for so long? It's just, it's, I don't know. There's a lot there for me.
Yeah. It's just not an accurate way to collect data.
No.
Mr. Pug says, I saw a guy in rehab who didn't really need a detox, but they gave him Librium anyway, and he was totally zonked. They didn't even have the clinical skills to titrate his dose down.
Yeah.
It's scary. Some of what happens, it's scary.
Yeah, Julie said, I have a dear friend going into rehab this week. I'm scared for him. I know. I don't even know what to say anymore. Like when people are talking about treatment, of course, I'm always going to be supportive, like, of course. But at the same time, like you say, Julie, I'm scared for them because I don't necessarily feel at this point in time in my life. That used to always be what I would suggest, like go to detox, go to rehab, go to detox, go to rehab. And now that's not my first thing that I say,
What's the first thing you say?
I say, what does the person want to do? Does the person want to stop? Because people are always trying to make decisions for other people. And it's like, well, maybe we think that they need to stop and all this stuff, but is that their end goal? Because we know, especially with the illicit supply that's out there today, if somebody does not want to stop and they are going to go to appease you or because you're going to kick them out or XYZ, and they go and then they get out and it just didn't work for them because they didn't want to be there, whatever reason, and they pick up again, well, now they have nothing in their system and they're more likely to overdose, depending on what their, drug of choice or whatever is. So it's tough. It's really tough.
What about how the movie ended? What did that make you think about treatment? Hey, you guys, I don't want to do a spoiler alert here, but it's about to be a spoiler alert on how the movie ended. It was very moving emotionally. I had like chills throughout my entire body. I had like a very physical, visceral experience with the ending of the movie. Should we go there or are we not there yet? I guess we're here because I'm talking about it. I don't want to be annoying.
Well, it's like I texted you when the first one died. So, the first one, it said right 3 months after filming that he had a heroin overdose and died, right? So I was like, holy shit, even though I hate to say it, but it's definitely an outcome that happens to people that are in and out of treatment all the time.
So this was somebody who was in the movie who was filmed over time with his mom who was trying to get clean from heroin. And he was in and out of treatments and it had been a 6-year journey. And then they showed on the screen after he died, just for context for anybody who didn't watch the movie, then at the end of the movie, they said that he died 3 months after filming, heroin overdose.
Yeah. Yeah. His mom, man, she reminded me so much of my mom, and just like that was a really hard watch for me. And then when they were sitting down and eating, and she was like, what is like basically like kind of like what is it going to take? Like, I don't know if I have like the money, like I don't know where to put the next money in. And the kid's like, I got to do it. Like, and she's like, really? Like, it's just one of those conversations. Like, I remember the desperation in my mom, like, is this going to be the last place? Is this going to be the last time that I visit you in one of these places? Like, and just knowing in my heart that no, it's probably not. It's probably, I don't, because knowing when I'm sitting there that I'm not done. Like, I don't think that I'm done. And just that awful destruction that you see your family and all of the shit that you're putting them through. And it's like, we really need this. We assume that, and I'm getting all over the place here, but
no, it's so good. This is so good. I have my popcorn.
But one of the things that they didn't talk about in the movie is notice how most of the people were younger people, right? In their 20s, and had these families that were trying to get them better. But we know from some studies that most people do age out. So I feel like majority of the business of recovery, like they said, they're playing, is parents and families' emotions. But I feel like we need this buffer zone of, if somebody is not ready, what can we do to help them and keep them safe and get them to a place where they themselves want to make the decision to be ready. Because it's just that I feel like when your family finds out that you're shooting heroin, especially, right, when you're using needles, and the way the mom talked about, the first time that she found out about he used a needle and such, I remember my mom was absolutely devastated. And it's just this family, like, they think you're going to die. They are so convinced that you're going to die. And then they go to the professionals, and the professionals say, yes, they are going to die. They are going to die. So let's get them a bed in here and let's get them better. Let's take care of them. And it just does not work like that, because what are you learning in treatment? Like the lady said, my husband overheard it. I had it playing when I was doing the dishes. And the lady's like, we are like AA school. He was like, what the fuck is an AA school?
Was that Hazelden? Yeah, I was like, oh. It's an indoctrination camp.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's a thought reform boot camp. Yeah. That's thousands of dollars a day. I like when they talk about a $40,000 big book. I forgot about that line. People would say rehab is like a $40,000 or a $20,000 big book. And if it is 12-step rehab, that's not totally true. There is value in being locked away from your regular life for a period of time. There is. Being away for 30 days and being in a facility where I couldn't drink was helpful for me. Yeah. I don't know if it was worth what I paid necessarily, but like, well, maybe in hindsight, because I only went to one rehab. So was that worth the transformation that I got? Yeah, but that wasn't the only reason why I transformed. But being away from alcohol for 30 days, like it was just the start. It wasn't the finale. So I'm curious, Tara, because you said something really fascinating to me. The times that you went to rehab, because you went to different sort of treatment centers, including living environments and institutions and everything, between 20 and 30 times. Is that right?
Yeah, like at least if you count the sober livings, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So, and then when you look back, is it true that what you just said, did I hear it correctly, that you knew you weren't done at specific times that you were going to treatment?
Yeah, especially in the beginning. Like I'd say the first probably 5 to 10 times, I just wasn't done, but I kept stopping because my parents kept intervening. So I kept trying to do it for them. But because I was like, okay, like this is, it does kind of suck, but I was still, if I'm being 100% honest, like I was still, yeah, there was some hell, but I was, the pros were outweighing the cons at that point, right? Like I was still enjoying what I was getting from using. I was still attracted to that lifestyle. I was still very much in it, but it's like, a normal person probably doesn't shoot heroin, so maybe I do need to get this under wraps. But yeah, it was like I kept going for my family and I kept wanting to want it. That's what it was. I wanted to want it so bad because I knew like this isn't a healthy lifestyle for me, but I didn't want it. I did not want it for, I'd say probably like the first 5 to 10 places. I wanted to want it, but I didn't want it at that point, for sure.
If you could, I know we can't really play if the past was different game, but if you could look back, what do you think would have been more helpful than going in and out of treatment centers?
I know this is probably like a very controversial thing to say, but I just wish that we could have taken a more harm reduction approach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like taught my parents, about having naloxone in the house and just different things like that. About could I have gone to some place that could have taught me how to use safer so that I wasn't cutting up the hell out of my arms, like all of those things to kind of keep me in a safer zone while I'm still saying like, this is what I'm going to do no matter what you guys say, even if that means that I am buying pee and doing all this crazy shit just to appease my parents and have a roof over my head. I'm going to find a way to do this shit because this is what I want to do, rather than going through all that, rather than wasting all of my parents' money. Yeah, like could there have been an approach where it's like, okay, like, probably my mom's never going to be like, oh, cool, you're shooting heroin today. Awesome. Like that's probably never going to happen. but could there have come a point where, it's just like, this is what you're doing. I love you and I want you to stay safe while you're doing it. I don't really know what that looks like. It's very hard. It's easy for me to say it, but when I break it down realistically and look at my parents, like that would have never, even some of the advice I give to people, it's like, it almost feels not superficial because it's real advice and it's true and it would be helpful, but can families realistically let go like that and just be okay with doing it the safest way possible? Because they don't want you using drugs, obviously. They don't want you sticking a needle in your arm, right? But it's hard. I think that the answer is not what most families are going to be okay with.
Yeah. When I think about myself, because I was drinking, right? I think if I would have started Sinclair method, naltrexone, when I first recognized I had a drinking problem, my life would have gone on a completely different trajectory, and I never would have wound up in rehab or in a cult religion called Alcoholics Anonymous, because I would have started. I did want my drinking consequences to be reduced. I did want to drink less. I just didn't know how. And so if I had the medical support, then I could have gone a harm reduction route, which maybe would have made me like lose interest in alcohol, like I hear it does for like 80% of the people, right? Slowly over time. And then that would have supported my brain through the actual like addiction process and unlearning that pattern in my brain. And I think that would have been a much better route to go. Also would have needed things like to resolve my trauma, to learn emotional regulation skills and things like that. And so I think much earlier than I actually got sober, I knew I had a problem. And that's when I would apply naltrexone for like Sinclair method for alcohol addiction. So I can see in hindsight, like what would have been a better path. I mean, I really could have started that at any point, but I could have started it when I was when I was 23. Like the week that I turned 23, I knew I had a problem, but I didn't get sober then. But that's when I could have started, easing my problem without having it be so aggressive and disruptive and having to be in a cult.
Damn it, I know. And it's not even, I don't know if now it is in the, in the early recovery spaces. I feel like it's not, but still, but why is that stuff not? Well, I mean, I know why it's not, because the treatment industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry and that makes more money than for that to happen. But
there's two things, right? There's the multi-billion-dollar industry, and then there's the cult indoctrination.
Yeah.
Because if we dare say, I get the most brutal reactions to talking about Sinclair method. Sinclair method is fake. It doesn't work. It's a fraud. And then all these names, and it's like, you can't even say that you've researched methods and some are more effective than others according to lots of research and data without getting like harassed or verbally abused. And it's like, that's the cult indoctrination. So you can't even talk about a better, safer alternative for some people. No, not for everybody. And if you try Sinclair and it doesn't work for you and you did it the correct way, meaning you knew it was going to take 6 months or 9 months or maybe even up to a year and a half to like have the results, and it didn't work for you, then okay, maybe if AA really is the last house on the block. But I was told it was the last house on the block when it was actually the first one.
Yeah.
And I believed it was the last one because of like cult indoctrination. I believe what was repeated over and over and over again without actually thinking critically. I did not try smart recovery. I did not try other paths. I did not try rational recovery. I did not pick up Alan Carr's Easy Way to Quit Drinking book and like focus on my desires, And so, but I believed that it was the last house on the block because they told me it was, but it was the first. Okay, we have Gold Nugget here saying, yes, I worked in a treatment facility, detox, then evaluation for further treatment on the units. No cavity searches were allowed.
That's good. Sarah Elizabeth said, as a professional arts master's practitioner, that's a shame. I'm also in recovery. I sometimes went through private programs. Other times I went through proper medical-based facilities. Sarah, I'm interested in the medical-based places. Did you find that did they offer anything other than 12-step? Because, I mean, any of the medical places, they were still detoxes, but any place I went, it was still, yeah, technically it was medical, but AA was the cure, baby. So. DBMTB said, I was court mandated to AA 3 meetings per week for 3 years. This was 2004 to 2006. In hindsight, I'm appalled that the U.S. court system can force indoctrination into a cult religion. Thank you both. And what's crazy is that there's so many court cases where people have won that it is a faith-based program and that they need to be offered an alternative for this court, for being court mandated. But it's like it's still in 2026. People are being court mandated to meetings.
And they're not clear up front that it's a religion, even though it's been by the courts deemed it to be religious. But they're still not letting you know when you check into Betty Ford, Hazelden, or all these treatment centers that were in the movie we're talking about, that what it actually is. Yeah, it's a religion. Yeah, the point is to convert you. It's a religious conversion experience. And for some people that works. There's nothing wrong with a religious conversion experience. There's literally nothing wrong with it. But let's be clear. But to coerce a religious, even if you're religious, you don't want to be coerced into somebody else's religion. Nobody wants to be religiously coerced. But to choose a religious conversion is fine. But let's just be honest about what it is. I always say this, but like with every single cigarette I smoked, I knew the harm associated with it. Maybe I was in denial. Maybe I thought I was young and it was never going to happen to me. I never really believed I'd get lung cancer or whatever, but I was never confused about the harm. It was always informed consent. Every cigarette I smoked was informed consent because I knew. My doctor didn't say Camels were the good ones to me. No, I knew it was harmful. And I just wish that was what was on 12-step, like a warning label that like, yeah, for some people, religious conversion experience is going to be what works for you. And it might be what keeps you alive. Facts. Some people go to AA and they're still alive and they believe that saved their life. Now, who am I to say it didn't save your life? I know It didn't save my life. I know I was indoctrinated to believe that it did. I know that's a cult indoctrination tactic. But if somebody believes AA saved their life, that's you. You get to believe whatever the heck you want to believe. And that might be true for you. How would I know? How would I know? I don't know you. Like, I would never say like that. What I can say for me is that I thought that was true. And then it wasn't true because I realized that I saved my own life. But yeah, so if we can just be honest that it's a cult religion and then people can go if they want. And if it really is the last house on the block, or maybe they want to choose it as the first house on the block. Like I said, I smoked cigarettes knowing that there was a harm. I was getting a benefit. And so I went and I smoked the cigarette. It was helping me. Like, I'm neurodivergent. It helped me. Can you see? I'm doing all this weird fucking shit with my hair dye. I know. I'm like, you can't see on the camera, but I'm like, but I was getting a benefit from the cigarettes. One of the benefits, I was just thinking about this, was the social, like it kind of like gave me an in to socializing because I'd go meet other people who were also smoking, like in areas where smokers smoke. And then it was easier to have a conversation with people, and it helped me with my social differences. And so there was benefits of smoking. Plus it made me feel a type of way. It medicated some of my feelings and stuff. So I was aware of the pros and I was aware of the cons, and I chose it anyways. And so, yeah.
Kate said, to me, they looked brain dead and brainwashed, but also trained to sell you something. I mean, do we know if those people who run rehabs are actually in 12 steps? I don't know. I am still confused. Yeah, I don't know if they themselves, I felt like it wasn't clear if they themselves were, but they were definitely believers of the program or fantastic salespeople of the program.
True believer vibes. Yeah. They were true believer vibes for sure. And then it was shocking. I know Mr. Pug said this like somewhere else, but the amount that they got paid, they're saying we're not for profits. And then you peel back how much these CEOs and founders of these treatment centers that were sharing all the good news about the 12-step cult religion sobriety process, abstinent process, that they were making between $250,000 a year up to $850,000 a year. Yeah. The average being like maybe $400,000 a year. It just.
Yeah. I mean, nonprofit sounds great. It's I think it's just another
there are great nonprofits out there, absolutely, and I think most of them, and this is just my personal opinion, but I think the nonprofits that are really doing the great nonprofit work are grassroots, nonprofits. I feel like once they get to these bigger organizations where they have CEOs that are making $500,000 a year and all that such, I mean, nonprofit is just it's just a buzzword, and it's just another sales, like a sales tactic, in my opinion.
And I will say this all the time. I'm all for entrepreneurs. I'm all for the American spirit of having an idea, maybe migrating to America, having an idea and really going for it in America, like whatever. I'm all about it. If you come up with a great idea I'm on team, I would always say, like, I'm on team billionaire, meaning let's let Bill Wilson become a billionaire if he has a great idea. I'm not mad that Bill, like, was a salesman or that he wanted to make money or anything like that. Like, who doesn't want to make money? We need it. It's a necessity of life. So I'm all on team Bill billionaire, right? But like the thing is my problem with 12-step is that it's not true, that it's a scam. That's how I look at it. That's just my opinion, is that it's a con job. Because it's not true. He literally made it up. Like a lot of the ideology, he literally made up. He literally made up a spiritual malady. It's not reality. The spiritual malady is not reality. Can you get a bumper sticker? What the fuckery? You know what I mean? So he took Dr. Silkworth's idea of a mental obsession preceding the first drink and a physical allergy. Physical allergy, as if it's a histamine reaction, right? And then he paired it with spiritual malady because he was pairing alcohol addiction with his he had a psychedelic induced white light God experience, right? And then he was in the Oxford group cult religion. So he needed to marry Oxford group religion to getting sober. So he invented a spiritual malady, because then you need a spiritual solution. You need a God. It's a God problem, right? It's a lack of God is your problem. The solution is God. That's what alcohol addiction is. He literally made that up. That is not science. That is really not any other approach, like has religion as a solution. And I would be fine with anybody in rehab becoming, making $800,000 a year or whatever, if the solution actually worked and you were really good at delivering it and you were actually saving lives and it was actually closer to 90% or 95% effective instead of 5 to 10%. If people paid once to go to rehab and it wasn't, if it was more than 1 out of 20 that are going to get it, 1 out of 20 getting it and you're making $800,000 a year, that's a scam to me. You're selling the wrong program. So I have no problem with people getting rich in recovery if they're selling something that actually works. The money isn't the problem to me. The problem is that you're getting rich off of a failed product. It's a scam. It doesn't work, but you're saying it's the only thing that works. And so because you're telling them it's the only thing that works, they're going to come in and out, 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 and in and out. And now you're getting rich over here because it doesn't work, but you've brainwash them into believing that it works and it's the only way, and you created that in their minds, and now you're taking all their money and it's still not working, and then we know at the end of the movie 2 of them are dead, right?
Yeah
Okay, I'll calm down.
I do wish that the movie touched more on that. I feel like it did kind of give 12. I don't know. I feel like I think a little bit more could have been explained about what 12-step really is. And when the mom was explaining it again, man, she just reminded me so much of my mom. And she was talking about how, the steps, and this is how they present it to the parents. Like, these are these steps, they're laid out. It's helped millions of people recover. If they just take the suggestions and work these steps, they will be better, right? Like, this is all they have to do. It's a simple program. They just have to take the suggestions and work these steps. And then parents are like, oh, okay. So they just got to do these steps. And, it's worked for all these people. It's worked for a lot of times. It's the staff members who've said, I've worked these steps. And now that was like a big thing, big sell point for my mom was she would see these people who said this is what they did. And now they looked like they were living these normal ass good lives. So she was like, okay. And then to me, she's like, well, why aren't you working those steps? Why aren't you doing what they said? It's all laid out there. Like, you just have to take their suggestions and do what they're telling you to do. Why aren't you listening? Why aren't you, like, it's so simple. And it's like, Mom, it's not that simple. I am trying. Now, in the beginning, like I said, the first 5 to 10 times I didn't want it. But when I did want it, And I remember someone said to me, they're like, it's because you half-assed it so many times that like now it's not working for you because you've I forget they had it actually sounded really good when they said it to me. I wish I could remember exactly what they said, but they basically said that the steps lost their magic and their appeal because I didn't do them the right way so many times. I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And I was like, I'm shocked.
Okay, so cult rule number 2. Okay, so I kind of made up cult rule number 1 and number 2. This is not really a thing, but for me, it's a thing. Cult rule number 1 is we're not a cult, but cult rule number 2 is you're wrong. Whatever we're talking about, you're wrong. Oh, the reason why you're wrong is because very specific to your situation, I'm going to make up like my opinion as fact, but the bottom line is you're wrong.
Yeah.
No matter what you say, it's going to be you're the problem.
Yeah.
Because you failed before, you keep failing. That's why.
Yeah. Yep.
Or the system's a failure.
Yeah.
Okay. Julie says, I lost 2 of my children to ACA. 12-step can tear families apart. I hear that a lot, and I'm really sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Rick says, Al-Anon is mostly invaded by AA members these days. They are called double winners. Yeah, that's right. It's double jeopardy, double your misery. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Totally. I'm just going to read through a bunch of comments. I'm behind on them. Then we have, I recovered through meditation and yoga. Awesome. It seemed like AA people didn't think I had done it the right way. 100%. 100% they wouldn't think yoga and meditation is the right way. Nydia says, ACA has its own text, but I stayed away from it. I did 4 years of ACA and used the other text. It's how I accidentally deprogrammed. I used no sponsor and no regular meetings, no powerlessness. Yeah, I've heard good things about ACA from some people in the deprogramming space, so I appreciate your comment there. I don't really have an opinion on it because I haven't done it, so I can't talk about it. My ACA journey was with a lot of choice. AAs and ACA tried to force themselves on me, but I stayed away from them. Awesome. I don't know what Rick is saying here, but Bernie is funny. And
I think it's when I was talking about the razor and the bum bum. It's wrapped up. Like they usually like put stuff in like a condom. You put it in the condom or something and wrap it all up and go.
Save my ship. This is
I prefer the coin purse than the bum, I'll put something. I'm not putting my bomb. Put in my little coin purse.
And then if anybody wants to stay for the meeting after the meeting today, we're gonna process and deprogram from this trauma we're experiencing with the razor bum situation. Got a razor in my bum. Hey, you remember? Wait, Tom Green? Who did Drew Barrymore marry like 25 years ago?
Yeah.
My bum is on the razor. My bum is on the razor.
Well, I haven't heard. Yeah, what was he really saying? My bum is on the. That sounds so familiar.
He had this whole "my bum is on the" thing. His bum was on everything. Green Mountain Mama says, it was hard for me to figure out whether addiction or AA has been harder to overcome because they were so entwined. I believe 12-step ideology has created the addiction epidemic. Yeah.
Feel that. Definitely feel that. Amanda said, now that I've left AA, people from that world keep showing up. I've been contacted multiple times for 12-step calls, even though I've been asked to be removed from the list. It made me question sometimes if it's God showing me that I need to be there because they program to believe that it's a sign instead of not respecting my boundaries. That is some powerful shit, but I love how you ended it there because you're right. It's not my personal opinion. It is not a sign from God. It is what you said. It's them just not respecting your boundaries, but that can be very conflicting when you are going through the process, And she said, every sober house here is run by abusers and predators. Oof. Yeah, there's way too many there's something about sober living that attracts so many predators and abusers. Like you said, I guess it's just because anyone can do it, right? So anyone can do it. And if they got a little money themselves or, whatever, it becomes and that becomes another like pedestal thing, right? Like if you have a sober house and you go to meetings and you're helping so many people get sober, then people will turn a little bit of a blind eye if you're 13 stepping all the newcomers, because some are sicker than others. We all have our character defects, but look at how much good they're doing for the community. And I really feel like those sober houses just become, and treatment centers like the Eric Spofford who opened up the treatment center, like it becomes a get out of jail free card. Like you can be the biggest predator, but as long as you're helping so many people get sober, then it's okay.
I think that comes from AA indoctrination too, the whole bullshit of one alcoholic helping another. It set up the entire foundation for global indoctrination on it. You don't need to be certified, qualified, know anything about medical, anything, or CPR, or having a defibrillator or whatever the heck it is. I don't even know what it is because I haven't been trained, but I don't work there. So it's not a problem necessarily. And that you can be whoever you want, as long as it's one alcoholic helping another or one addict helping another. Your qualification is that you are sober yourself or you've been through the sobriety process. That's complete baloney. Could you imagine that if you're a dentist, all they needed to know how to do before they start drilling on your teeth was have the experience of having had teeth or having had teeth drilled before? Like, it's so bananas.
It is.
Like,
it really is.
No training. Yeah.
And literally the only thing, I can't think of anything else out there that's like that. I can't think of one other thing where they just push basically peer support and in a book from the 1930s. Like, it just doesn't happen. But with substance use disorder, it's the norm.
Yeah. Kate says, I watched the movie Body Brokers last night, and I'm even more shocked. I watched this like 5 years ago. I think that's when I first left AA, I believed I watched Body Brokers. I did write something on this topic from the movie that we watched, or some of us that we're talking about today, which is The Business of Recovery, about the 10% commissions and the conflict of interest. And I had to Google Body Brokers. I did yesterday just to make sure I was on the same page. And my understanding of a body broker is like exactly that. It's somebody who's getting commission to send somebody to treatment, and that this isn't normally how medicine works. This isn't like that somebody shouldn't be getting a cut of it. And it made me realize that the initial crack in my brainwash, in my AA brainwashing, was when this guy in Bali died, took his own life. And I felt like it was AA's fault. And I felt like, how could I be a part of a group where this is okay? He has 3 kids. He's dead. It's over. Like, and his sponsor told him, you cannot seek outside help. In fact, you need to cancel the help that you've already booked. He had hired help for his anxiety and his mental health, and he canceled the help because his sponsor said, you cannot get help until, and I've told this story before, but there's a part of it that just occurred to me yesterday, a new part. You can't get help until you finish your 5th step. No outside help. Don't dilute the solution, or whatever the fuckery he was told. And so he did. He canceled the help, and he was just going to do his 4th step, wait till after his 5th step to get help, for professional help for his mental health. The idea of outside help is complete baloney, bullshit, indoctrination, harmful rhetoric anyways. He took his own life before he finished his 5th step, before he finished his 4th step. So, the other piece that I didn't know until like last year was that his sponsor, because that's why I had to Google, wait, what the fuck is a body broker? Because it's all comes together slowly, my awakening from how toxic and dangerous some of these people can be in AA, and then AA ideology in together, and the infiltration of AA ideology into mainstream narrative of how recovery works or should be thought about. His sponsor received a kickback for getting him into rehab months before he went. He hadn't even relapsed yet, and his sponsor made a deal with a rehab that was opening up to get a cut for sending him to that rehab. And then his sponsor convinced him to go to the rehab. I don't want to get too much into his story, but his sponsor had him cancel his professional help and actually got thousands of dollars of kickback from a rehab to get this guy into rehab. And then the guy, like right his first or second day in rehab, took his own life, like in the rehab center.
Yeah, it's I didn't even like really realize like sponsors were in on it, but you see it all over social media. All of these recovery influencers that have their phone number and their, call if you need, message me if you need to get into treatment. I mean, it's rampant. And like Gold Nugget said right there, body brokering is now illegal in the US, but I don't know. I know there's this one person who says he makes content. He doesn't get paid per person. So I really feel like they're finding other ways to still body broker without it being the direct, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people you got in. Okay, here's your cut. There's still, it's under the radar. Body brokering is still very, very much a thing.
I apologize on the comments. There's been a lot, and so I've just scrolled to the recent ones. So I know I've skipped over some, so I apologize. And I know that that's annoying for people who want their comment talked about. So I apologize. Creek says the rehab industry complex is one giant fraud. And Kate says the fact that it's illegal doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. That's true.
Oh, it's happening. Adrian said, I literally heard some celebrity AAO say, I don't traffic girls anymore. Meth and AA is frightening. I didn't do meth either. Oh, James Bond, one of my favorite subjects. Any word on the Eric Spofford kerfuffle? So the last that I heard, he was trying to get it dismissed. Get this. He was trying to get it dismissed because of a First Amendment violation, which is pretty ironic considering that his whole thing was about stalking journalists and trying to take away their First Amendment right to report on what was going on. But I don't know exactly what's going on there. That is the last that I heard, was that he was trying to get it dismissed based on violations of his First Amendment, but I need to look in on it, and I will definitely do an update on it, because that motherfucker, man. Mm-mm-mm.
Okay, we have Lavender Fox's Tom Green. We have the Muppet. My bum is on the cheese. My
Yeah.
bum is on the cheese. If I'm lucky, I get a disease. For the bum song. Laugh my ass off. Yes, it was Tom Green. I remember. Okay, so here's a funny story. I was at a club in Hollywood one time, and I never did cocaine. All my friends were on cocaine that night. And I always thought that I needed to drink more to make up for the fact that they were, that they were on cocaine. So I should drink more. But I just usually end up getting kicked out of the bar because I was so wasted. I didn't understand that I should drink less than them if they were on cocaine. Yeah. This is like, yeah. So we used to rent limousines. So I would just go out and say, fuck you. We got booze in the limo. And I'd go sit in the limo outside. So dumb. But we were at this club in Hollywood one time, and it was when Drew was married to Tom Green. And I remember Tom Green, I knew who he was at the time, and obviously I knew who Drew Barrymore was. I didn't know Drew Barrymore was at the club. I knew Tom Green was, because he was on stage with these drag queens, and he was saying, my bum is on the drag queen. My bum is doing this whole thing. And it was a gay bar or gay club, and it was so so many guys there with their shirts off, and they were so sweaty, and I didn't want to there was no room to dance, and I felt claustrophobic. So I was just like, fuck it. I don't know. I went on stage and I was dancing with Tom Green. And then I remember we got in the limo at the end of the night, and they're like, you were with Drew Barrymore. I'm like, I was? I thought I was with Tom Green, and my bum was I was doing my bum is on the drag queen. Clueless and drunk. I will never forget that. You didn't need to know that. But hey, I love all that razor butt stuff, okay? I'm trying to change the mood here, people.
But notice it's still about bums.
I know, but it's a fun bum.
It's all fun bum.
Everybody get bummed out up in here.
Kate said the movie is not very good, but very eye-opening.
What do you mean by it's not very good? Darren, it's hilarious.
I don't know why that cracked me up, but it really did.
What about it is not good? Like the general story of how the recovery industry is, like the editing, or what did you mean by it's not very good? I'm actually curious.
Yeah, me too. Lydia, I'm sorry if I'm saying her name wrong. In our group, there was AAs from the USA who were often therapists and counselors picking up patients. They were there to seek clients. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me one bit. I just saw this dude in Massachusetts. You guys may have seen him on social media. He's called Victor the Good Boss, right? And he was trying to get somebody into treatment. Like in Massachusetts, we have a lot of good state-based treatment, and it's pretty decent, right? And you can get into a treatment center rather quickly. I would say within, I mean, if you know someone, you can get in that day, right? But I'd say within 24 hours, you can get a bed. But this dude, I don't have proof, but my intuition says he's probably a body broker, right? And there was this woman and she was on a high dose of methadone. So he got her all pumped up, ready to go to treatment in Florida. And then the treatment in Florida won't take her to the detox because her methadone is too high. And then just like, think of what that does to a person that literally on the street. Okay. It's not someone who's, going home and has their bed. They're literally living on the street. They're like, finally, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go. And then does that, to me, this doesn't make sense. A detox facility, right, that can't take you because you're on too high of a dose of methadone. Well, why wouldn't you just, why is that even an issue, right? Like the methadone should be part of their treatment if they so choose to be it. Like, why is that the first thing that we're making sure that the person is getting off when it's not, the methadone is not something they're getting off of the street. They're on methadone right now and using other drugs in combination. Let's just leave the fucking methadone and let's work on the other shit, right? But it's like so many of these treatment centers are getting people, they're shipping people off into other states, right? And then they're getting them off of their meds because a lot of these places require that. And it's killing people. It is straight up killing people to do that. It's just, I hate it. I fucking hate it. And there's nothing I can do about it.
It's starting to sound like trafficking.
I think it is. Downtown Tasty. I'm from the Chicago area, and the courts mandated me into a rehab that required AA meetings, which is basically the same as mandating meetings themselves. Yeah. My probation office was full of AA pamphlets, but zero alternatives. Typical. Very typical. I mean, there's so many people who today don't know that there are alternatives. Like they think that AA and NA is the way, is the recovery program. It's wild. Gold nugget. Yes, Tara. I don't know why I say everybody's name weird. Yes, Tara. Harm reduction and living safely is a best approach. I would think so, right? Like if we know that somebody is not done yet and you're not ready to stop using, then wouldn't being the safest about it be? But it's just everyone is so nervous and so scared. It's like, we got to get you off the drugs. They play on that the family's fear, like the movie said. And then he also said Mara was born in a women's prison in 2018 and created by an AA member who didn't like what he was observing at meetings. It's MAT friendly, but not everyone is on MAT.
And MAT is medication assisted treatment or medication assisted therapy. Where I currently stand is I don't like the word abstinent. I don't drink alcohol at all. Like that's where I currently stand. And I haven't since I got sober, before I ever went to AA. But I actually don't think I think promoting abstinence is harmful, meaning because I think it should be one of the things on the table and not the only thing on the table. It shouldn't be stay how you are or completely change everything and go cold turkey or abstain completely. I think harm reduction is the only thing that makes sense. It's the only compassionate thing, and that could be abstinence. It could look like abstinence for some people. And I love that, I have to say Tara. And the way that I got Tara right, I was like, Tear Bear, like a Care Bear, Tear Bear, right? I was like, oh, it's Tara, like Tear Bear. And I was like, Mara, like Mare Bear. I have to say Mara. Yeah, there's a lot of other other recovery paths that are non-harmful. And then Mara specifically, it's okay if you're on medication. It's okay if I don't know all about Suboxone and all those things. That's not my world. I'm just not, I want to be more informed, but I don't know that. But I do know that naltrexone is an easier, softer way for a lot of people than completely going abstinent. And to ignore that and to promote only abstinence, I think is harmful because it's a harder reach. It's a harder step. Most of us don't want to quit drinking, but we want the consequences to lessen. You know what I mean? And so if there's a way to do that, or promote a way to do that before you say quit everything, it's try a little bit, like, you know, have a little bit less. Yeah. Here's a way that can support you in that.
And it's funny how the easier, softer way is looked at as a bad thing, though. You know, like the easier, softer way, they say it as in a, like, it's not good. It's the easier, softer way, as if something being easier and softer is like not legitimate or is not going to work, or, you know, I don't get it.
Thank you, Custom Sewing. You are very welcome. I want these conversations to exist. I clearly don't know everything, and I say shit all the time that all y'all don't agree with, and I love that. And you might say something that I don't agree with. The point isn't to agree with any one individual, in my view. The point is to be thinking for ourselves. So you're very welcome for what we're doing here, at least for my part. You're very welcome. And I really want these conversations to exist. These are the conversations that it's gonna make me emotional. These are the conversations that I wish existed when I left AA, when it was so fucking brutal for me. And that I couldn't find any validation that like what I was going through was not only normal, but there was a path out, and that it was okay and it was safe to trust myself and all of that. So I look at my work as sparking a lot of conversations, and I'm very interested in what you specifically have to say and what everybody else watching this or listening to this thinks as well. And I want these conversations to exist, so I'm sparking them. I looked at this podcast right here is sparking a conversation. And then everybody, especially if you're watching the replay, please join the conversation in the comments, share your thoughts, what's been coming up for you. I really think it's about all of us just reclaiming our voices, deprogramming, deconstructing anonymity. No, we get to say what we think, especially if we feel like it's going to help people, or if it's just us expressing our truth, or us just figuring out what everybody else thinks. We're allowed to talk.
Yeah, absolutely. Like my burn the stigma, like my tagline, I'm really bad at like doing all my things, but it's spark conversation. It's burn the stigma, spark conversation, ignite change, you know? And
yes, that's the vibes.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm so bad at that stuff.
You know what? It's Bernie, Brittany. It's Bernie, Bestie, and Brittany, bitch.
Don't forget Bobby Ross.
Does anybody know? Remember Bobby Ross? Were we channeling last week? I'm having a spiritual experience downloading last week's Bobby Ross. Although I did, you know what? I did find a cult expert. It wasn't Bob Ross. It was something Bob Ross. He had a first name that wasn't Bob. And then this was like a cult expert guy. I did find who you guys were talking about, I think.
Julie said, I hate that naltrexone was kept hidden from us. I used Nal and it was a miracle. Awesome. I wasn't aware of the Sinclair method at the time. Yeah, it is hidden.
It shouldn't be hidden, and it shouldn't be demonized when we mention it.
Yeah,
it should be on the table. Everything should be on the fucking table, along with the statistics. What are the probability that this method's going to work, and what kind of people does it work for, and what do you need to do in actually to get the results? What's the protocol? Not it works if you work it, like literally what's the protocol? So with naltrexone, you take it an hour before you're drinking if you're doing Sinclair method. Like, what's the protocol for this message or this path?
You want to read it?
Okay, Mr. Pug says, I went to rehab only once. It was 12-step. I told a counselor about my diagnosis of BPD, EUPD in the UK by 3 different doctors. He dismissed it as not real and told me that doing the steps would fix it. This is like one of the things that really, can I say chaps my high? Does that even make sense, people? This is one of the conversations that I feel the most strongly about sparking and having be mainstream, which is a lot of us are told that everything that we're navigating, whether it's our mental health, whether it's a neurodivergence, whether it is a personality so-called disorder or any of these so-called disorders or whatever, that really are like real. Like, I don't think of but autism spectrum disorder, I don't think of autism as a disorder. I don't. Like, go fuck yourself. Let's call you disordered because you can't, like, you don't have autistic thinking. But a lot of these, like how our neurology is, how we're wired, how our personalities are, or whatever, are all pathologized as like the disease, the addiction. And the solution then is a religious conversion experience. And honestly, I wonder how many people don't survive that harmful rhetoric. Because if you keep doing all this, trying to pray it all away and stuff, I know, like, it's one of the things that really gave me the courage to speak for the first time about leaving AA on the internet is when I understood the statistics about people in my group, so autistic girls and women. Autistic girls are 9 out of 10 of us are going to be sexually abused as children. 9 out of 10. That's a very hard statistic to swallow. It's 3 out of 10, I think, for non-autistic girls. So we're 3 times more likely to be sexual abused in childhood. So we already have this trauma, right? Because of our neuro differences. And we're 13 times more likely, autistic adult women are 13 times more likely to die by suicide than non-autistic women. And I wonder how much of it is because we're told bullshit like this, that we have character defects that we're trying to pray away in a church basement, that actually it's more about understanding ourselves, supporting ourselves. So some people might be bipolar type 2 and they need to be on the right medication. Some people might be ADHD and they might need medication support, or maybe they need support with organizing themselves or whatever the fuck it is. But to be told that it's all that it's all to be worked through the steps, it's ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. No, you can say, hey, the steps might help with something. It's a religious program, but it's not gonna, you can't pray away your neurology. It's just impossible.
Yeah. And I remember like the vibe when people would bring up their diagnosis in like certain places, and the people leading the thing, the counselors, they're not real counselors, whoever the hell they were, the staff would say, well, of course you think you have BPD. You've been on a bender for the past 7 years. Like they'd say, get sober for a while, work the steps, and then see if you still think that you have all of these things. Like, it's very just pushed down as like, well, of course you feel depressed. Of course you have depression. Of course you have this. Of course you have that. You've been using drugs like this for fucking blah, 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 blah. So yeah, totally.
My bum is on the naltrexone. My bum is on the naltrexone.
Strong earworm going through my head. Tom Green.
My bum is on Bernie. My bum is on Bernie. You never know what's going to happen when you spend the weekend with Bernie.
Sure don't.
I'm spending my weekend with Bernie. Alan Ross.
That's the cult guy. The Alan Ross guy is the cult guy.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah. Gold Nugget says, I'm a certified medication-assisted recovery specialist. It helped me learn a lot about the neurobalancing properties of MAT meds. I'm so fascinated by this, and I want to learn more about this. I think that this is so important to have known mainstream if we all understand like what a recovery process can look like. I'm specifically very interested in the brain and how it works. I would love to know more about this. Okay, we have Football Madness Savage's mom says, do you ever think about taking a drink? Kirsten or Tara, what about drugs for you? I have no issues with drugs. I had issues with drugs too. I never think about taking drugs. Zero at all. I stopped using drugs a long time ago on my own power. I just stopped one day, and like when I was young. And drinking, I've thought about drinking when I've thought about naltrexone and Sinclair method, like reading the book, The Cure for Alcoholism, which I don't like the title. I don't like alcoholism as a word, but it really pushed against some of my programming from AA. This idea that maybe I could drink safely. It felt dangerous to think that by using naltrexone and getting my brain into an extinction around alcohol. So I did think, well, and I made a decision for myself. If I ever drink again, I would do Sinclair method, and that's how I would drink. I have no desire to drink again, but I think that for me, it was very important to have my plan B, C, D, E, and F, where Z was going back to AA. I needed to have what I'm going to do instead if I ever drink again and it becomes a problem again. How am I going to get sober again? And I got to think this through when I have a clear brain, not when I'm desperate as fuck for treatment.
Right.
I need to be clear on what it is now. So I did the research up front so that if I ever find myself in that situation again, I don't have to go to a cult religion. So for me, that was really important as part of my deprogramming journey, was to find other methodologies that I vibed with that would help me solve that problem if that ever became a problem again. But I don't even know if I'm ever going to drink again for the rest of my life. So I don't know how relevant that is in reality, but having a plan B, C, and D laid out does help me. But I literally don't have a desire. I don't want to drink. I don't want to drink. And it's kind of along the lines of Alan Carr's Easy Way method, which is where you focus on what you want. This is how I'm recalling his methodology. I don't think about the lack of drinking in my life as a problem or that I'm missing something. I don't feel deprived. I haven't had a drink since 2009. So I'm not in an early sobriety, still wanting the alcohol all the time. I'm not coming out of the habit of my life revolves around alcohol. So I'm saying this as somebody who is 16 years into their sobriety, and I don't do that to do a status time, but there's a reality of how the brain recovers from alcohol. And it's been so long since it's been in my brain that I have a whole different brain now. That's why I say that number. So I don't want it at all. There's things in my life now that I'm afraid that I might lose if I added alcohol back in. I've never been more emotionally stable in my life ever. All of my anxiety disorders are gone. They're completely resolved. And I don't know how adding alcohol to my life would affect those things. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. I don't see how it would add benefit to my life. So I genuinely don't want to. When people say, well, if you don't do a program, how are you sober? I'm like, I don't want to fucking drink. The same way I don't want to smoke a cigarette. The same way I don't want to bang my head into a fucking wall. The same way I don't want to like crash my car into a cement wall. Like I literally don't. Like I just don't want to. So if you do want, but I do have empathy for people who do want to. I don't want to take that lightly. But if we're asking about me specifically here, no, I don't think about it. I did get a little bit like, it felt unsafe, right? When I was reading about naltrexone and Sinclair method, I was like, wait, am I going to drink again? And I might drink again. And if I do, future Kirsten's going to make an educated choice and have a good reason and have some safety nets around me if I do, so that, that I'm not in harm's way again.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for me, I mean, I technically still use drugs, right? Because I use cannabis, and IV heroin was my thing. But you make a really, I feel like, important distinction in that, and it's one that sometimes I struggle with, because I do remember there was a time where I had to fight so hard to be like, okay, like I'm not going to use anymore, right? Like I'm not going to use, and I'm talking about heroin, obviously, because I still smoke weed. And then now it's just not a thing. It's just not something I want to do. It's not something I think about. It's not something I not think about. Like it's just not the life that I have today. I feel like adding that back into it. And let's be real heroin doesn't even exist around here anymore, even if I wanted to. But it's just not part of my life. Like I don't struggle with that thought at all. And sometimes I feel like I don't know how to talk about it, because you're right. There is a very real difference between once it's just out of your life and it's just not a thing anymore, versus when you are actively trying not to pick up. Those are two totally different times in the healing cycle.
Yeah, two different brains. It's two different brains.
Yeah. So for me, cannabis is something that I use. It's not harm reduction for me. I feel like every time I talk about using cannabis, people are like, yay for harm reduction. And for me, it's not harm reduction, because I use it because I like it. And it's something that I enjoy doing. It's not like if I didn't have cannabis that I would use something else, right? It's just, that is a substance very much like caffeine that I have kept in my life, and it works well for me and I enjoy it. And that's that. But so it's different. Everybody's different, right? Like some people still consume some substances, some people don't, and it's just, everyone's got their own path. Oh, geez.
Adrian said, I was stalked, literally stalked and harassed for talking about AA of Facebook. I'm sorry to hear that. Someone else told me that too, is Donald, who had come to one of our things before. He said the same thing. So yeah, I'm sorry that happened.
I was stalked inside AA. I had a stalker in early sobriety, an AA member that was lost the fucking plot and like would hang out outside my house and follow me after meetings and shit. It was not cool. I mean, at least he was sober.
Some are sicker than others.
Oh my God. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Golden Nugget says, we'll address Matt the next time we chat. Kirsten, love it. That's a vibe. I'm looking forward to it. Muppet says, the best way to stop thinking about alcohol is to avoid groups that are obsessed with alcohol. Totally. Nydia says, I decided to never bring up the Asperger's because I knew it would be classified as a disease and I was not going to pray it away. It's part of me, something I work with, not against. 100%. I needed to leave AA in order to understand that my brain was different. And then in order to have accurate assessments of my brain, I had to already be deprogrammed because I had to get out of that idea of character defects and all of that. I know people get diagnosed, understand their brains when they're still inside AA, but yeah. Custom Sewing says, another thing that made me walk away and a red flag was an old timer saying that a lot of the outside help, you must be really sick.
So yeah, sick of you, motherfucker.
Outside help is such a dangerous cult term. It's just kind of hitting me how fucked up that term is. Excuse my fuckery and bullshittery language here. I guess I'm going to give more swearing because it's true. It's like outside help. That should not be a term. It's so ridiculous.
And like a negative term too. It's not even like
right to shame you for needing outside help. No, it's so wrong.
Tony said, I was 5 years sober yesterday. Congrats. I haven't had urges for a very long time. Left AA 7 months ago. Now no coin this year, but a nice meal with my wife. Amazing. And I bet that meal with your wife, I mean, obviously this is just my opinion, but I bet it was nicer than getting the coin.
Yeah. Kate says, I drank again after 10 years of being abstinent. If I ever becomes a problem, I'll do Sinclair. Yeah, it's nice to have a backup plan that's not AA, isn't it? 369 says, I knew a guy who had 8 months clean and was working in a rehab. I was thinking, hell, if I could use a couple extra grand a month and get 6 months and put an application in. And I knew more of the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's bananas that they have. It's kind of like the way I see a lot of the rehab industry is really like the metaphor that makes sense to me is like, you think if like a 12-year-old girl gets pregnant and becomes a mom at 13, and then her daughter becomes a mom at 13, and then her daughter becomes a mom at 13, and then you go 10 generations down and it was all kids raising kids, and they just wasn't enough emotional maturity there or life understanding to maybe do some of the things right. Maybe they didn't understand nutrition. Maybe they weren't emotionally regulated yet or whatever. And they just weren't evolved enough to really have an understanding enough of I don't know. I don't mean to be judgmental when I say that, but I feel like the recovery world is often like that, where you have these people who have 6 months sobriety and now they're the ones who are teaching about sobriety. They don't even know what the fuck way is up yet, you know? And it's like, and I'm not shaming anybody who's 6 months sober. I'm just saying that generally the way, if to become a doctor, you have to go through what? You have to go through all of kindergarten through high school or whatever it's called in your country. Then you have to go to college or university for 4 years. Then you go to medical school. Then you go to you do like an internship or whatever. You do rounds. I mean, you go through all of this training to get qualified. And then you have these people in recovery, and it's, you know, especially if you're going to say it's disease, shouldn't there be medical training? There isn't really training other than cult indoctrination. And then you're suddenly in charge. And then you're teaching the new people the next generation of teachers who are going to then teach when they're 6 months, 9 months into the thing. And it's like 10 generations of like 12-year-old moms. It's not wrong. I mean, we just deserve better. We deserve people who have a broader understanding. I'm still barely understanding it all, and I'm researching it like a maniac. Like I'm looking at every modality, and there's no way when you are trying to decide to get where you're going to go for treatment when you have an alcohol problem that you're going to have the mental or emotional bandwidth to actually research every solution. You're going to trust the people who say this is the only way, because I mean, I did not have it mentally, the mental ability to research rehabs for myself. A friend called around for me. She did the research and she gave me 2 phone numbers to call, like the one that Jerry Garcia died at and then the one that I went to in Malibu, right? And so I called 2 rehabs that she gave me the number for. She called around and she found me a non-12-step rehab. I was having anxiety attacks. I was not like in a place where I could be making solid decisions for myself. I was in a bad way, which is why I was going to rehab.
Yeah, like Dee Dee said in the movie, she said, if we're going to call it a disease, then let's treat it like a disease, because you're not going to have a bunch of people who have survived cancer leading the way for other people who have survived cancer. You know, like she said, it may be a support. I can be a good support to you. But as far as treating you, I mean, it just doesn't make sense. But that is par for the course, totally normal in treatment, you know?
Yeah. Donald is saying, I don't like the new thing with the stars I have to pay to talk to. I have no idea what you mean about stars. I'm lost. Are you talking to Tara and I don't know what you mean by stars. Okay. In the movie, I wrote this down. It's along the lines of what you just said. We are complex. There is no one program for everybody. And then Dee Dee said, we need to get out of denial and listen to science. And then somebody else was saying what we need in the recovery world. And this is 10 years ago, right? Be more accountable, results-oriented, scientific, and cost-effective. It just makes sense.
Yeah, sure does. And when you think about the 30,000, the 40,000, even the 15,000, even the $5,000 places that people are paying for 12-step, I mean, it's bananas. Like you say, how you got me saying, it's bananas.
Donald says he's still being stalked. I'm sorry to hear it.
That's scary. That's very scary.
And Kate says, I have no desire and scares me going back to cocaine. I know for a fact it won't happen. Yeah. Biggest mistake was telling AA I have bipolar. I can imagine, I don't know specifically what you mean by that, but I can imagine ways that could be where it can be twisted against us or harmful. Cassandra says, dude, old timers need more therapy than anyone. That's kind of where I have a lot of empathy for old timers, especially the ones that are so nasty. Like, I got 41 years sober, and they're being an asshole. Like, and they're like leaving like me 10 to 20 comments a day, multiple days in a row. And I'm like, I have some compassion for that, although I don't like necessarily reading all that, right? Toxic words kind of feel a little toxic on the system after a while, don't they? But I feel like you've been what you're telling me is that you've been in 12-step for 41 years and you're still unhinged with strangers. Like, I feel I have compassion for that, because AA is not teaching emotional regulation. It is not resolving our trauma. It is not addressing the root cause of what's going on. I do not believe that anybody's root cause is a lack of God. I don't believe that that's the reason why addiction does God help some people with addiction? Sure. If you're religious, of course, your belief in Jesus or whoever or whatever is going to help you in anything in life, right? You're going to find comfort and faith and peace in that or whatever. But when people have been many decades into AA and are acting that are actively being abusive to strangers on the internet, I'm like, but they're not, they believe they're in a program that's solving their problems, but it's not, and they don't know it, and they're trapped. So it creates like an empathy in me. And then of course, if they cross a certain line, I have a certain line where I just can block people from my Facebook. But for the most part, I want the conversation to be open. So only if they start, there's a level where I have like in my own boundaries where I block people, but
Yeah. Donald said, learn the lingo in 2 weeks and you can be a guru too. It really
There should
does
be
feel like that.
AA guru kit. Somebody should write a book.
The Muppet named Mo said, AA loves dangerous people. People who did time for taking other people's lives were treated like royalty when I was there. Yeah, they love the story of the I was broken, I was this person, but thanks to the steps in AA, I am now this person, right? They're all about like you were bad, but now AA made you good. So yeah, someone who took someone's lives, I mean, that's a poster child, put you on a pedestal, baby, because look at what AA did in their life, you know? So yeah. Ugh.
Kate says, when I saw in the documentary, this is the business of recovery, standing on recovery business over here, that you don't even need a high school diploma, I was absolutely shocked. Yeah. I was horrified. I am horrified about how treatment works in emerging countries, developing countries, things like that. Y'all know most of my AA life was in Bali, Indonesia, and I did work in a treatment center there for 6 months. And it literally was, people would come to Bali, mostly Australians. They would get sober. They would stay. They'd get swooped into the fellowship, right? They'd stay on the island and be like, I'll just do my first year of sobriety here before I go back home, or first couple years, or move here completely. And then by 6 months sober in 12-step, it was a 12-step rehab. And the fellowship is so small there. There's not many people at all. So everybody knows everybody. And then they'd start working at the rehabs when they were 6 months sober. And that just kind of was the cycle. It was people with 6 months sober are now they're training people on what sobriety is, but sobriety is the 12 step. So it's a 12-step indoctrination camp where the qualification, I mean, there was a therapist there who was a qualified therapist, right? But the staff running the group meetings and all like that, it's people, the requirement was like 6 months AA. Okay, so here's more on that stars upon stars thing. Okay, Donald says, a picture of Tara with the thing that says, send 200 stars to see your comment here. It's a new thing. I don't know anything about this. Is that?
Yeah, I think it's just like, I didn't set that up, but I think it's just like you get like a highlighted comment, but you don't have to pay to comment. You can still comment, but it's just like a special comment that Facebook does.
You got to pay to play. We're gonna sell some AA bingo here. I'm gonna pick, but I read the Cochrane study with it works if you work at Square.
For 500. You said in scientific journals, I can't talk. It has been noted that rehabs and AAs have low efficiency. Yeah, it was funny, that guy, I forget who he was, but he was like from some drug organization or some government. Who?
Yeah, I wrote it down. It was the National Institute of Drug Abuse.
Yeah, and he was basically like, it's all anecdotal. We don't have any studies.
He said it's anecdotal evidence, not scientific evidence. There is no evidence. I put that down because I was like, yeah, let's just tell the truth up in here. But if you tell the truth, you're a basher. You're a basher. Yeah. Don't talk about the science. You're a basher. I'm like, maybe I should embrace this basherhood.
Right?
Basher's gonna bash.
I'm a basher, bitch. Instead of a Britney.
My bum is on the basher. My bum is on the basher.
What, Rob? That's crazy.
On my way to facilitate an in-person Mara meeting. This was great. Thank you so much. Enjoy. Have fun. Great to have you here. Aloha, besties. Aloha. I was told to stop medically supervised medication and witness women smugly telling other women to literally switch addictions. And pedo lifer Rodney is just a flawed individual. Okay, I don't know what that part means, but great to have you here. I really don't like the medical advice that is so common in AA. And I understand that that's not in the book, but it happens all the time. It happened in my home group. It happened in the meetings I was in. People would share about it at group level. It is pervasive in the culture of Alcoholics Anonymous, whether any individual sponsors or not will say it. And part of the reason how it's so like infiltrates so deeply is because a lot of us are told, again, at the individual level, not necessarily through the ideology, but a lot of us are told through the culture that our only problem is alcoholism if we're in AA, and that the only solution we need is the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Never mind if, like, the entire first year I was like, I think I'm ADHD to my sponsor, and she's like, no, it's alcoholism. I'm like, but I can't pay attention and this and that and this and that and this and that. It's all ADHD things. She's like, no, it's alcoholism. The only solution you ever need is 12 steps. So I didn't find out. That was in 2009. I was told that what I thought was ADHD was alcoholism, and it wasn't until 2024. What the fuckery, 15 years later, that I actually got assessed as ADHD and learned how to support myself. And I do that through nutrition and other like ways. But yeah, we get completely misguided. So on the comment of witness women smugly telling other women to literally switch addictions, we don't know if anybody should be on Adderall, if anybody should be on benzos, if anybody should be on naltrexone, whether it's a psych med or whether it's a med for their mental health or whether it's a med for them to help them like attain sobriety and help their brain with homeostasis. You know, it's really funny. I technically was on MAT, I guess, but I didn't know it. And I didn't tell anybody because I felt like it was none of your fucking business. But I was on meds the first 15 months of my sobriety, and I just didn't talk about it because I felt like it was nobody's business. But in rehab, to get me off of benzos, I did like a 10-day quick rapid fire detox, which I know you shouldn't do. It really should be like a long thing. But they put me on, I was on 2 meds. What were they? Oh my God, am I going to totally forget? I was told they were to help me like stabilize my brain chemistry and bring me to homeostasis for my brain to learn to live without the benzos in my system anymore. Neurontin and trazodone. They were Neurontin and trazodone. So I didn't feel them. Like it wasn't like I felt a high or any sort of effect. It was more like they helped stabilize me. So I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my sponsor. I didn't think it was relevant. It was like I wouldn't tell her if I took an Advil. That's kind of how I thought about it at the time. But had I talked about it, I wonder if anybody would have had an opinion, you know?
Oh, they would have.
I wasn't even trying to be rebellious. I just didn't think it was relevant. I was like, because I was given it in rehab, right?
Yeah. Tony said, yes, the meal was much better. I did kind of miss AA a little bit, but that's just history of the last 3 sober days being in AA. I don't miss AA at all generally. I'd rather have my peace and power. And, you know, I think, you know, as much as I can like me, but I think that sometimes I really do talk a lot of shit. I'd be lying if I said I didn't have any positive memories or good memories with people in the fellowship on birthday nights, on, you know, even if I was lying about my birthday and was still getting high, like there was still good, like I still had good memories and good people. I mean, I think that's normal, you know. I think we all, I mean, I shouldn't speak for everyone, but I think a lot of us have positive memories linked back to the cults that we were in. Brittany,
I put this on your Facebook yesterday. Oh, Dad, Brittany. That was AI. She did not hold that sign up. I was going to find a picture of mine just now of me at Bill Wilson's grave. Yeah, I had fond memories too. I had a good time. I was in Akron, Ohio for Founders Day with my sponsee. We stayed in the dorm, Akron University dormitory. It was a vibe. But like the same thing with Santa. Like, I'm not going to believe something that's baloney. Like, just because it kind of felt good at the time. It's like, no, when the veil lifts, it's like, it's kind of, I don't know, it's over. Let's see. There's all these this is like a side conversation. Super stickers and super chat. Donate to your recovery from recovery specialists.
oh my goodness.
Bashers gonna bash. We were gonna do a bash-a-thon. We were gonna do a deprogramathon around Christmas time and do a bashers bash and just bash it up.
With all your favorite bashers.
Instead of it's Brittany bitch, it's bashers bitch.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I asked somebody today on my Facebook page where there's a lot of, I don't know, Zuckerberg is, I don't know if some of them are bots. I'm like, are some of these bots? Like, how do you know if there's like, because sometimes there can be like this fighting in the comments and you're like, how much of this is like bots trying to be aggressive and polarizing in comments to create more comments to get people angry and keep them on Facebook to serve them more ads. Like part of my brain started wondering, what's the business model here? Because we're the product on Facebook. So what's the business model here? They're monetizing people's anger. So how much of what I'm seeing in my own comments is actually bots, if any? That I don't know. I was like, wait, are you a bot? Because I keep getting this one comment and I'm like, is this a bot? Because people keep saying you're stupid and they spell it Y-O-U-R. And I'm like, are you a bot?
Is it the same account doing it?
No, but it keeps happening. So I'm like, is this like a bot thing? You say you're stupid and spell your wrong so that people would be like, it's your, and then it starts this whole like, is this real? Is this real life? Basher is gonna bash. But I asked one person said that you're bashing or you're bashers or this whole page is about bashing. So then I wrote, what's the difference between bashing, in quotes, right? Bashing and deconstruction. And of course, there's no direct answer. It kind of changed the subject and went off on this other whole land about how AA saved my life, yada, 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 proselytizing, evangelizing, all of the things. And so I'm like, what is the difference between bashing and deconstruction? Because I think what people, I don't know. And then, it's interesting too, like on this kind of a topic, I watched a Quackaholics Anonymous video. What up, Quack? Any Quacky fans out there? So yeah. Quacky, I watched his recent video on Friday and he said, he was talking about like, he does like shout outs to other content creators who do deprogramming content. And he's like, I don't know what to call them. Are they anti-AA? Are they this? Are they that? And as I was listening, I was like, and he mentioned Sobriety Bestie, my channel, as like one of them. And I was like, I'm not anti-AA. I would never describe myself as anti-AA. I'm anti-manipulation. I'm anti-emotional, like a manipulation. I'm anti-conversion, for coerced conversion. I'm anti a lot of the principles and the structure inside Alcoholics Anonymous ideology. I wouldn't say I'm anti-AA. I would never tell anybody to leave. I would never tell anybody not to go. But if you ask me if you should go, I will say no. But if you ask me where the meeting is, I'll Google it for you and tell you. Like, I'm not involved in your decision. But if you ask me my opinion, it's hell no. But I'm not anti-AA. And is it AA bashers? Is it AA deprogrammers? I think he decided on AA exposers, like exposing AA. And for me, it's more deconstructing AA or AA whistleblower. AA whistleblower feels more genuine to how I would see myself versus AA basher. To me, it's a difference. Once you call someone a basher, now you've put them in this category where now anything that they say is not relevant. You don't have to take any of it in and reflect for yourself. You've othered them in this category that is like a bad category. I'm very cautious when people say basher in general, because I just feel like it's propaganda, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting. I just consider myself because for me, it's not just about AA, right? Like a big part of it is the treatment industry and just all of the harm that comes from that. So I just feel like I'm technically like a recovering from recovery type vibe, Mr. Pug said, thank you so much, everyone. Always a pleasure. Stay critical. Yes. Use your mind, guys.
And I really feel like this phase of recovery that those of us who go through 12-step, a lot of us go through, the recovering from recovery is a valid step. It deserves airtime. It deserves to be allowed to be talked about online. It deserves a path, validation, support, just like getting sober from Alcoholics Anonymous is another phase for a lot of us in our evolution after addiction or after problematic usage or whatever. And to completely ignore it, shun it, and to brand it bashing and therefore not relevant, it's like, bro, literally the people that are being supported by this are the exact same people that were your beloved newcomers.
Right.
If you care about them when they're getting sober and you care about them when they're in Alcoholics Anonymous, do you no longer care about their suffering once they leave Alcoholics Anonymous? Surely in your mind, they're still a real alcoholic. Aren't they an alcoholic who's struggling and suffering? Even though they're suffering from AA ideology, do you no longer care about them? Anybody who even talks about that they're suffering after AA from AA is a basher, therefore not relevant and is harmful and needs to be stalked or trolled or whatever. Like, we can't even talk about that problem. Go fuck yourself. Like, that's how I feel. It's like, no, we get to talk about that problem.
Yeah.
We get to solve that problem. We get to be supported in that problem. There's a whole journey of recovery, and we can't leave out a critical piece at the end. I don't think it's fair. And I felt like no one's talking about it, and it's really bothering me that people aren't just talking about it freely, and it's not commonly known that this is a phase of recovery, the phase where you leave 12-step and you deprogram from 12-step. Okay, maybe going to the cult religion is the best thing for you. But then when you're done, now you go through phase 2, which is getting that out of your head. Get it into your head. It might help you. It helps some people. And then get it out of your head. And then this is a normal part. Just like if sometimes you're going to, you're going to get a certain medical treatment, and then you need to recover from the treatment for whatever reason. Like, you're going to get a C-section so you can deliver a baby safely. And now you need to recover from the procedure, which is a C-section, which means now there's the recover from the procedure, from the treatment. And just to brand it all as bashing, I'm like, I just feel like, I feel like I wish more of us were talking about it. I wish it was more mainstream. I wish it wasn't demonized. But so I feel really strongly that this message needs to be heard, that we get to have spaces where we can talk about this, including everything that you guys are saying here in the comments.
Yeah, it's a much needed, under talked about thing that so many people go through, and then so many people think that there's way too many people. Like, what keeps me talking about, like I said, like sometimes I just want to close all my accounts and like there's just give me peace, but there's way too many people who are stuck believing that it's a them problem, and that is what keeps me going, is because I was that person who truly believed it was my fault that it didn't work and that it worked for most people. Brittany.
It's ODAT, bitch.
Kate said to you about your medication, I believe they would have had an opinion. I was told to get off my bipolar and anxiety meds.
I'm looking for a photo right now, so forgive me for looking down here.
My best memories were stories like the one Kirsten said at the club and dancing on the stage.
My bum is on Tom Green. That's so funny. I was just like, everyone is so sweaty. I'm going to go on stage. Fuck it. With Tom Green. Nobody kicked me off. I just want a place to dance with nobody touching me. Didn't you ever get claustrophobic at the club?
Oh, yeah. It's so sweaty. Like you said, it's just a sweat. Just sweat. It's sweat everywhere.
What? Okay, let's see. Yeah, do you think that they are, some of the 12-step comments are bots? What do we think here, guys? Because I think if they get you hooked, right, you're going to keep coming back, and then their business model, like, why would they not? Like, why would people not do that? I don't know. Isn't that, I heard somebody say, and I didn't actually research, so I hold this stat loosely, right, that 51% of, did they say social media, was bots and not humans? That might have been more like, is that Twitter? I don't know. I just started thinking, like, how much of the comments are bots? And what does that even mean? Okay, here's a photo. We're doing Kirsten's photos. We want to do Kirsten's AA tourism. So this would, that would be me at Dr. Bob's grave. Any Dr. Bob fans out there? My shirt says, is it odd or is it God? Yeah. Gotta love it. Bill's grave was different. Somebody said they wanted to see the picture of Bill's grave. Please find and share the picture at Bill's grave. I'm looking for that now. But let's pull up more comments in the meantime.
Kang Mob said, I think using the jargon is lame as fuck. Why would I want to keep cult, I don't know how to say that word, that is in my daily lexicon. It's an ineffective oversimplification of authentic dialogue. Yeah. Oh. Billy's grave selfie.
Look at my shirt. I got that at Dr. Bob's house. Bill's friends. Oh yeah, I'm serious.
You're very serious.
How do you know you're a true believer? You're crying on the cult leader's grave, thanking him for your life. Yeah. Blue Butterfly says AA whistleblower is the best description. Yeah, because there's not judgment. I'm blowing the whistle on it. That's how I feel about it. My biggest thing is that it's not true. It's a gaslight. It's misdiagnosis. It's harmful because it's not true, and it's opinions presented as facts. That's my problem with it. There are many problems with it. Like, I love that Monica Richardson's went the 13th step route. That's a problem, but that's not the one that I feel passionate to like. The one that leads me is that it's a lie. It's a myth. We're sold a lie as if it's real and that actual humans are dying because of this, or dying. And it's probably in part due to this, right? That it's wasting our lives. We're spinning around on this hamster wheel going nowhere. And so, yeah, blowing the whistle on it is what it feels like to me. It's dissent. It's not hate. It's not anti. It's not bashing. I mean, maybe those are all the same words and people are going to have a different perspective on all the same thing. But for me, it's more like, it's not true. And we need to know. We need to know if we're leaving that, no, we're not alone in our thoughts. We're not crazy. We can trust ourselves. It's okay to leave. You might need support. I needed therapy to get out of AA. I needed to be able to talk to somebody about what I was feeling and thinking and have somebody who wasn't in AA to help validate me in my path out.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy when like you want to get out, but then you're like, that has to be my disease. My disease wants me dead. That's why it thinks I should stop. Like, what the hell, you know?
Yeah, I had someone today trying to tell me why they can't trust their thinking and it's not safe to me in DMs. And I was like, okay, I have no interest in converting anybody. I'm not going to tell you that that's harmful and you shouldn't do that. It's your choice, but you're not going to, but I wrote back, like, if you're trying to convert me, I'm not available to be converted back into AA ideology. I understand that you have what works for you and I'm very happy for you. But I'm not going to take your thoughts, which I don't agree with, as my perspective. Right. And if that's what you're doing, you're just wasting your time. I'm not going to convert you and you're not going to convert me. And that's okay. Right. It's okay that we think different. Like, it is okay. And so, but I secretly was like, I think the reason why this person's writing me is because they want to convert me, you know, and I get that because that's what AA culture is like. It's like, we got to convert people, but I'm not convertible. You better work, bitch.
I think we already read that one. I think you didn't notice, probably because you were looking for the picture.
Okay.
The Muppet named Mo said AA doesn't want a cure for a substance use disorder. They need people to pass away as part of their scare tactics. Yeah, so that way they can use you as the warning, right?
Green Mountain Mama says Dr. Bob and Bill Wilson were both born in Vermont, as was Joseph Smith. Something culty in the water. Joseph Smith, that's the Mormon leader, is that right? Yeah, so the picture of me at Bill Wilson's grave is in Vermont. The picture of me, Bill Wilson's grave, he was born and buried in Vermont, East Dorset, and Dr. Bob is buried in Akron, Ohio.
Bobby.
Wasn't Dr. Bob afraid of women ruining AA? Didn't he stick an AA member on his underage daughter? There's some scandal about that. Somebody mentioned that. So there was something weird. I was never, okay, I don't mean to be rude here, but I never vibed with Dr. Bob. Maybe he wasn't charismatic enough of a leader. Maybe he didn't, roll into the mythology origin as much as Bill did. I was like a Bill person. Do we have Team Bill and Team Dr. Bob for those of us who were former true believers? Obviously, currently I'm not into either of them, but I was like a Bill person. I wasn't a Bob person. Maybe they were Bob people. I actually had an AA boyfriend at one time, and before I ever met him, he had a dog that was named Dr. Bob. He named his pit bull Dr. Bob.
Like my friend Melissa with her cat, Ebby Thatcher. Ebby.
I live in the town Dr. Bob was born in. Of course, his birthplace is a meeting house.
Of course.
I think most men at the time didn't consider women to be full human beings. That was certainly the case with the founders of AA. Yeah.
Fuck. Oh, yeah. King Mom said, yeah, imagine being some dinosaur that's only hobby is sitting in church basements, drinking coffee, and judging others out of delusional self-grandeur. That's not life. That's just toxic existence.
Oh, one thing that I have in my notes from the movie that we haven't touched on yet. They said, I noticed that there was a little bit of indoctrination in the movie. And I don't fault the movie makers. This speaks to AA indoctrination domination. They said that they did not write out the 12 things that helped them. Oh, they said in there that when they were introducing Bill and Dr. Bob, they said that they wrote out the 12 things that helped them the most, and that's what they made the 12 steps. I was like, that's the origin myth. That is the myth that Bill looked at what helped people the most and wrote it down, and that's the 12 steps, or that he channeled those 12 steps from God. Those are origin mythologies, which most cults have origin mythological things. Also, I've just been reading this book called What is Fascism? Fascist groups also have mythological origin stories. The truth is that there were 6 like principles, if you want to call them that, from the Oxford group. They involve things like confession, step 5, surrender, step 3, or the whole damn thing, quiet time with God, step 11, recruiting, proselytizing, evangelizing, spreading the message, step 12. So there were 6 core like tenets or principles of the Oxford group, and Bill took those and then he stretched them apart he said he wanted to make them more specific because alcoholics can't have any wiggle room because they'll wiggle the way out of it. So he already has a very condescending view on these so-called alcoholics. So he beefed up Oxford's 6 tenets or principles, which are literal Christian or literal religious steps. And again, I'll say this a million times, there's nothing wrong with religious steps, but they're religious steps. They're not a path of recovery. Like they're a path to convert you to religion. Like that's just what they are, you know?
Yeah, I definitely feel like the movie gave I don't know if the word's a pass, but they definitely were light on like some of the real hardcore like facts that I think families would appreciate knowing, because again, parents like, oh, these 12 steps that my kid just has to do, and then if they do these steps, but do parents realize that they came from the Oxford group? Do parents realize how much surrendering to God and getting rid of self and all that shit, do parents realize that that's what it's about? I mean, obviously some do, but a lot don't. I know my parents, and my mom is Miss Little Catholic, goes to church every Sunday. And even she, when she found out what they were, she was like, I was scammed.
Yeah.
You know? So Kate said no one cared about Dr. Bob. Yeah, I feel like nobody talked about him. She said Bill made it all about himself.
Yeah, it's funny. That same person that was DMing me, they wrote, you're telling me I've been conned. And I was like, he wrote this whole thing and then he's like, but you're telling me I've been conned. And I'm just thinking, first of all, the personalization of so much of it is just like, it's just an inaccurate way to like really understand and evaluate what the fuck is happening in life. It's not personal. What I write on my Facebook page is not about any one individual in a 12-step program. I don't know you, bro. Like, I don't know anybody that's like, I don't know the randos. So it's not about you. And actually, it's not even about me either. When they say like, your perspective is so self-centered, you only care about yourself. I'm like, no, I would actually argue that your perspective, thinking it's only about me, is self-centered, that you can't even see that there are people that are being helped by this because you can't see out of your own perspective. No, but he was saying, you're telling me I've been conned. And I'm like, I'm like, but you're not a victim. You're literally choosing to be reading deprogramming content. And not only that, you're literally doing like 30 to 50 comments a day, like all week long. So you're choosing to engage with deprogramming content. No one's telling you you've been conned. You're telling you're actively looking at the matrix and taking the red pill or whatever the fuck is the analogy. And then if you're having cognitive dissonance because what I'm saying probably sounds logical, but you're believing something else, but then you can't blame me for it if you keep going back to it. I kind of was like, well, maybe you shouldn't keep coming back here. Like, if you don't want to deprogram, maybe don't read deprogramming content all day long. Like, this isn't for you. Like, I'm so happy for people who think that AA saved their lives and it's the best thing that happened to them and their relapse almost killed them and now they found a path to God and all that. Stay in AA. Do not read deprogramming content. It's not for you. I don't think that you should leave AA then. If you think it is your thing and you found your religion and you found your group and you found your people and you found your path and everything in your life is great, that's perfect. Don't keep reading deprogramming content. Like, if you don't want to path out, don't read it. It's just going to be a mind fuck. It's going to be cognitive dissonance. I don't think I could have engaged with deprogramming content before I was ready to leave.
Oh, no.
I couldn't even, when I was at Bill's house, Stepping Stones in New York, which is not where his grave is. His grave's in Vermont. And the tour guide there said that Bill was a salesman and it was 82 people, not 100, when they said we the 100 of Alcoholics Anonymous, that it was 82 people. I couldn't even hear that. That was a red flag that I buried in my head. I thought it was weird, but I never went further on it. Like, wait, Bill lied. I was like, I can't even go there until the night that I left AA. And then I remembered that. I was like, oh yeah, I buried that red flag. I painted it green and buried it. I took all the red flags about AA and I spray painted them green, or I hid them in my brain because of cognitive dissonance. And maybe they shouldn't look it out. If you want to stay in AA, you shouldn't read deprogramming content. It's not going to be helpful. It's going to be a mind fuck or make you angry.
Real mad. They do get mad.
Oh, wait, we have these ones about Dr. Bob.
Amanda said, I have a portrait of Dr. Bob that I wanted a fundraiser for a YA conference.
Oh my God, we should totally have we should do awards. We should do Bernie Bestie. We should do like a raffles and stuff. And
Dr. Bob picks. Amanda said, who else has at least one sobriety tattoo? I thankfully don't. But I know a lot of people do. A hell of a lot of people.
A lot of serenity prayers, a lot of like, a woman I sponsored had the promises written on her finger. Wow.
Cassandra said, even non-religious parents actually will take God talk over addiction, so they get indoctrinated too. Yeah, because even my mom was like, she wasn't happy that it was not her God, and she still felt conned. But yeah, she would definitely, she was like, well, at least you have a relationship with him, like that type of vibe. Is that the grave? Oh, is that Lois?
Lois?
Lois had a hula hoop when I was there. Lois should be appointed for sainthood. That's Lois's grave, right next to Bill's.
Yeah. Dongleberries said, people proudly labeling themselves as a dead man walking because they believe they have a deadly disease. I'm done labeling myself as an addict for life and letting my sponsor control me. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it should be known that it's a training wheel, and that when you take the training wheels off, there's work to do to restabilize yourself without the training wheels. The training wheels helped for some. AA, yeah, I stayed sober, so I can't say AA didn't help at all. You know, knowing people who are also sober helped. Could I have met people sober in other places like Smart Recovery? Yes, but you know, so it wasn't for nothing. I got the goal necessary, you know, whatever. But yeah, it should be known that when you leave, there's more work to do in order to get it out of your head and to move on, and that although it might be helpful to think of it as a disease for a period of time, it's actually not. And you need to realize that so that, you know, you can leave. But that's why I think that you can't even change AA to make it safer or better, because it fundamentally is inaccurate. And then in order to break that conditioning, like, you really need to have like I just don't think there's a way to make AA ideology safer, because it fundamentally just isn't. You know, like, there's no way to make Santa more real. Like, it's just
right. Right. And it's like, people always talk about, well, they need to update it. And it's like, but the foundation of the fact that it hasn't changed is what a lot of members love, right? Is that the fact that it hasn't changed, and this has been the way for so many alcoholics and blah, 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 blah. So I don't see the powers that be in the, you know, GSO office or whatever, that if they could all do a vote or however they would do it, I don't see that being even an interest to them, because they don't see that as a problem. They see it as a good thing that it hasn't changed, you know?
Right. And then if you go to a business meeting where anyone talks about changing one word ever in anything, it's like a whole, like,
this is the path for millions. Why would you want to change it?
We've saved millions. You can't change a damn word. Keep to the wives exactly as it is. It totally makes sense. Your wife has a disease if she doesn't like your assholism. I mean, alcoholism. Nydia says, in my AA group, they had these posters of Bill W. and Dr. Bob, and I found them creepy. I said that was cultish from the beginning, 100%.
Blue Butterfly said Basher is an ad hominem attack.
Y'all said that last week that because we were both wearing beanies last week, and y'all said in the comments that we should have matching beanies. And so my first thought was, do we need some Bernie and Bestie beanies? And then yesterday I was going for a walk and I thought, no, we need beanies that say Basher, and maybe even in a graffiti font, like Burn the Stigma style, like Basher bitch. Like,
yeah, Basher bitch.
You know, yeah. Like, remember in 8 Mile, does anybody see 8 Mile, where Eminem just gets up and he's like, yeah, I live in a trailer park,
yep.
And my mom's spaghetti, whatever. And he says all the things about him so that nobody else can say anything. He owns it all. So I was like, what if I, even though I don't agree with the Basher term, what if I just embraced it and just like wore a fucking hat that said Basher? I don't know that I'm going to do that. I don't want to aggravate. You don't want to, like, you know, feed the trolls, but it was like, okay.
Kate said Catholics shouldn't like AA because of the God as you understand it. Yeah, I think it's obviously differs from personal. But my mom, she definitely, when she found out it was that the steps were about God, she literally felt scammed. But then she was like, well, at least you have a relationship with God, even if it's not how I think it should be.
48 says, I had the Serenity Prayer tattoo covered up 2 years ago now. There's a lot of AA tattoos in deprogramming people. And then Custom Sewing says, these tattoos were so tacky, even more tacky when they name their kids after people or program words.
Serenity.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I get it. I get it. I have so much empathy for it. You guys saw me on Bill's grave crying for my life. I mean, so then somebody walked into the graveyard and I was like, I got to get it together. I've just been like literally losing my shit for 20 minutes crying over Bill Wilson's grave because I believe all the baloney is true, right? True believer. Someone walks into the graveyard. I'm like, she's probably going to her grandpa's grave or something. I need to get this shit together. And then she walks straight up to Bill's grave. And I was like, oh, okay. So I kind of stepped aside, let her have her little moment with Bill. And then she said, are you going to where he was born? The tavern down the street. I was like, wait, he was born around here? So me and my new Bill's friend who had we went we did furthered our AA tours and we went to the tavern down the street, his grandmother's tavern where he was born. He was born at a tavern. How funny is that? And it's like a bed and breakfast for AA and they have like, it's a meeting house and stuff like that. Nydia says, Lois made a lot of money out of it too. The estate and copyright was left to her and her relatives. Yeah, well, 90% of the book royalties were left to Lois and the 10% were left to Bill's mistress. Anybody else read Bill's last will and testament?
No. Cassandra Lee said, I got forever grateful tattooed and now I hate forced gratitude. I know what you mean about the like grateful and gratitude. Like I have weird relationship with those words too.
Oh my God, the Al-Anon hula hoop of minding your own business. Wow, that's a sad grave. Wait, is that an Al-Anon thing, hula hoops? I had no idea. I was like, why is there a hula hoop on her grave? I've never seen a hula hoop on a grave before. I thought like somebody was like a diehard Al-Anoner. Is a hula hoop part of Al-Anon ideology? I don't get the reference. Is that what you're saying, Lavender? I'll let a girl know if this hula hoop thing. I did leave. I was 8 years sober at the time. I did leave my fancy 8-year chip that my sponsor bought me. That was like a fancy one, fancy pants coin. I left it on Bill's grave, as you do. Like Cassandra said, I saw a woman in AA pissed about the plain language book, so none of them want to change it. Yeah, they were so... Lois is the anti-feminist, Kate says. Yeah, I can see that. Nydia says, in 2020, AA trustees kept telling people on Zoom conferences that they were updating the big book, but in reality, it was a cover-up because they wanted to keep the first 164 pages the same. Yeah. I went to an Al-Anon meeting when I was like 4 or 5 months sober. I was in New York for a month when I was 4 months sober. I did my first 5th step in New York with my temporary sponsor there. And I remember my last night there with her, we went to an Al-Anon meeting because she was also an Al-Anon, that double winner thing. And I just remember I went to that first Al-Anon meeting. I didn't go to Al-Anon again for like 6 years or something because it was so like horrific what I heard. The speaker got up and said, hi, my name is Frankie and I'm an Al-Anonic, my disease of Al-Anon. And I just like threw up so hard in my mouth. And I was like, I need to run the fuck out of here. But, I was probably having a panic attack because my anxiety was so crazy at the time. And I just stayed to the end of the meeting, but I was like, I can't ever go back. That's like bananas. What do you mean you have a disease of Al-Anonic? What is literally, what does that even mean? I knew I was drinking. There was alcohol is a thing, but what is Al-Anonic? What is Al-Anonic? I was like, this has gone so far. We've gone so far into crazy town. I can't even recognize what is what?
Yeah.
I don't know what they're actually talking about because a lot of the stuff that's totally baloney is pointing to something real. So when they talk about a fatal progressive disease, in my opinion, and my research, that is 100% not true, but it's pointing to something. They were describing real phenomenon with their own interpretation and then made it as law kind of a vibe. So when they talk about fatal progressive disease, now when I look at Sinclair method, Dr. Sinclair's research, he talks about alcohol deprivation effect. So I can find in current science literature explanations for some of this mythology. It's different. It's something else. Nothing's in the parking lot. It's neurology. It's learned conditioning in the brain. And so I think some of this stuff, I don't know what Al-Anon, when they say I'm Al-Anonic and I have the disease of Al-Anon, what are they talking about? Are they talking about a personality disorder? What the DSM-5 would call a personality disorder? Are they talking about neurodivergence? Are they talking about unresolved trauma? They might be pointing towards something, because when I was saying alcoholism and character defects, I was talking about, but didn't know it, autism and ADHD. So often we're pointing to something with these misguided words It's not that nothing is there. People have problems, and those problems are real. I just think the frame is wrong, and the frame traps us in the wrong solution. And yeah. What do you think, Bernie?
Yeah, I mean, like the people are saying it's about codependency, but in my from what I've learned, I still got to do more research. But the whole codependent thing is not a real thing either. You know,
There's
like
no disease of codependency. It's not a disease. There is no disease.
yeah.
It might be trauma. It might be having to do with like an attachment wound, or I don't know, like a trauma.
Right. Codependency is not real. Deborah said, I'm so here for this. Just recently made the final decision to trust myself and leave.
Yeah. What's
Oh,
up?
yeah, on
Trusting yourself is the vibe. And we have Bella saying the steps from the meeting to the car park were the best steps I ever took. Was anything doing press ups, push ups, or burpees in the bushes? Probably not.
Burpees in the bushes.
Kate says they changed the preamble to make it more inclusive, and all hell broke loose in my meeting. I can imagine it. Green Mountain Mama says, at the last few meetings I attended, people brought up the Oxford group in a positive way. I felt like there was a make recovery great again movement that seeks to embrace its authoritarian roots.
Trishan Progress said, but they did change the preamble. It's now a fellowship of people instead of fellowship of men and women. Well, they got one word phrase.
Has anyone read the Plain Language Big Book? I just laughed all that time and effort. I read some of it, the part that you can look for free on Amazon. I kind of opened it up maybe, I don't know, like 6 months ago or something. And I looked through a little bit of it, and it just seemed very basic, like third grade level words. But I don't really want to read any AA literature, honestly.
I hear you. Deborah said, read the orange papers and totally confirmed my feelings. I never could grab on to the ideology of powerlessness. That's good.
Lavender says, that's where I heard the hula hoop thing first. Okay, so it's an Al-Anon thing. That's so funny because I was like, until I'm today's years old when I'm learning about razors in the butt and hula hoops on the grave. I didn't know about the hula hoop. Al-Anon's main teaching is about detachment, trying to control or enable the drinker.
Kate says codependency is 12 steps. It doesn't exist as a psychological term. We should talk about this at one point.
We totally should. I do have to get off soon, and I'm sure Tara Grace does too. There's biological things need to happen.
Yeah.
But I like that as a topic. The codependency, is it a fallacy? What do we think? So glad she's Shmashker. Sorry, I'm saying that wrong. So glad I'm catching a live. Oh, welcome to the live. I felt guilty for not feeling guilty about finally leaving AA behind. Lol, and your content helps so much. Great to hear it. I felt so guilty leaving. And then even when I wanted to speak about it 5 years after leaving on the internet, I felt so guilty, like I might be ruining it for the newcomer. And I had a therapist, the lady who assessed me as autistic and ADHD. I was telling her I wanted to talk about AA as I wanted to just dissent, basically. I was like, but I feel responsible. I don't want to ruin it for the newcomer, kind of a thing. And she's like, you're not fucking God. You can't control anybody else. You can say your truth and it's fine. You're not responsible for anybody else. You're allowed to speak your mind, and you don't have the power to get someone sober or to get them drunk. Like none of that's real. Like you can be yourself. And it's true. Nothing anybody would have said could have got me out of AA when I was really deep in it. I would have blocked them. I would have called them a basher in my own head. Well, I don't know if I would have called them a basher, but I would have found a way to stay in my cognitive dissonance. I don't feel guilty anymore. I don't feel that guilt. I don't believe it. Cassandra, yeah, you two are going long 3 hour. Bernie and Bestie in the house. It's Brittany, bitch.
Yeah, I think like I get to my capacity at
We're
3
about
hours.
there, and I'm about
Yeah.
to need a bathroom break like you wouldn't believe. It says, yes, but we had a group conscience to go back to men and women. It sucked. That was my final meeting. Do you guys want to do a group conscience right now?
No.
What I guess my inquiry, whether you're watching live or the replay, I really want to know what you think. If you could redesign the treatment industry or treatment in general, what would you think treatment from alcohol or drug like addiction would look like? Would it be a 30-day stint at Hazelden? Like what is the answer? Like what is the answer to addiction? That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about deconstructing 12-step ideology, but it is interesting to think about what's the answer. For me, something in the harm reduction category is what feels the most compassionate, realistic, effective.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there should be like when you go to treatment, it's like, okay, are you trying to quit everything completely? Are you trying to reduce your use? Are you trying to just use safer? Like I feel like there should be different types of treatment and different types of, depending on your goals, because everybody's goals are different, but we assume somebody's struggling, we must get them to stop everything. And that's just not it. Green Mountain Mama said the plain language book still has all the same shitty advice, even down to having the new recruit live with you. Oh, Jesus. They changed literally nothing aside from simplifying the language. Yeah.
Remember when Bill admitted that his program was so defective, that ineffective, that somebody killed him, someone suicided in his own living room? That's in the big book? Isn't that a red flag?
No.
That you're taking on very serious medical condition kind of people into your own home, and that they're not even surviving a trip to your living room.
Yep.
Is that a red flag to anybody? Hey, did you guys like this? Let me know, like right now, if you're here live and vibing and you're still here, or if you're catching the replay. Did you like this, that we told you like a couple days in advance that we were gonna, or announced? I hope you saw it in it plenty of time to watch the movie if you wanted. Did you like the this idea of we can watch a movie and talk about it? Was that a fun way to do it? Is there other movies that you'd like us to do this with and have kind of like a little live stream powwow afterwards, deconstruct from the movie? Is there other movies you think are great that we should watch together? Did you like this kind of a vibe? What do you like? For me, it's I have a lot of empathy for you as the viewer. What would serve you? What do you think would be helpful? What do you want more of? I'm always trying to be very in touch with what you actually enjoy. Bernie's trying to take off here. You see her? She's trying to take off. She's like, I have to go pee so bad. If I don't flap my hands, I'm going to wet myself. And don't call it out because I'm literally pissing my pants right now. That's not okay. Kirsten, I've been sitting here for 3 minutes. I did not smoke pot. I did not go pee. I did not pass go. Get me the fuck out of here. You know I'm ADHD. Don't fuck with me. Can I get a Britney, bitch?
Fucking Britney, bitch, you said it.
Time out. Time out.
I'm literally dying inside.
I'm dying. I'm dying. You know what? People are dying. Should I save your life and end the live stream?
Please. I love you guys so much, but 3 hours for me sitting in a chair is a very long time. And yeah, I gotta pee.
Yeah. I'm impressed with your bladders.
Me too.
Bestie, do a mystery science theater with you and Bernie. Hey, Bernie, you want to run and go pee? And I'll look at these last comments and then I'll run and go.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm about to pop too, bladder-wise, but I want to finish up these comments. I'm impressed with. Oh, we already did that one. This is excellent. I will catch what I missed up in the replay. Yeah. Get to the root of the problem. Nutrition progress. Totally. Catching a replay the last hour. Rick. Yeah. Football in session. Who's playing right now? We're getting to the end, huh? We're in the finals. We're getting down to the line here. Lavender says, I missed the first hour, but I really like the idea of a movie before this. Yeah. I thought it might be fun to get Monica Richardson on. Like, we watch the 13th Step and then bring her on and we chat about it. That was like an idea I had. But if you have any other movies that you think, maybe the Body Broker movie, any other movies that you think that would be good to talk about together about recovery or 12 Step or whatever. Kate says, I like how they do it in Italy, all professionals and individualized. Not sure about rehabs run by professionals with medication if necessary. Rehabs are very long, though. Like, you're in there a long period of time. Something that was in the movie that we just watched, they were talking about how ideally rehab would be not 30 days. It would be, they were talking about like 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. Like, wow. Blue Butterfly says, have a great day. Thank you. Yeah, this has been really fun to unpack it all. Cassandra adds in, all therapy is individualized. And Julie says, SMART is embracing harm reduction more and more. It's great to hear. Yeah. Cassandra says, stop treating everybody with one solution. Fully 100% agree. And Deborah says, those AA business meetings were brutal. I remember I was in early sobriety and I went to my first AA business meeting and I had a panic attack. I was like, what is happening here? Because everybody started yelling at everybody. And I was the secretary or the chair of that meeting, like the one leading the meeting, right? So I had to go and I was supposed to like conduct the circus, but I'd never been to one before and everyone started screaming and I just started like hyperventilating. I was like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to say. I was so terrified of everybody. Everyone got so like just wild so fast at that business meeting. I was not emotionally prepared. I'm still probably not. Julie says, Monica's great. I help moderate her groups. Okay, so why don't you, I'll be right back.
Okay. I don't think I can put the comments on the thing, but I will read this one. David said, it's all good. Whatever you want to do gets me pumped up for the court-ordered AA meetings I have to go afterwards. Yeah, I think I can't put the comments on the screen, so sorry about that, guys. But oh gosh, I don't know how to fill a time. I'm not good at this like Kirsten is. Should I read some more even though you guys can't see them on the screen? No, probably not. You guys probably wouldn't like that. Somebody help me out. I am going, oh my god, what should I say? Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I'm spent. 3 hours sitting in this chair doing this. I love you guys, but I am spent. We read that one. Lavender Fox has said, have to know Robert's rules of order to survive most business meetings.
I don't know what Robert's rules of order are. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I'm going to write that down.
Those business meetings are the worst. You had to go. By the way, I feel like a new woman. It is, you know, that road trip, you finally like empty the bladder. I just go with it. I'm going with this refresh bladder over here. You're good, Tara. We had something up here earlier. Lavender Fox says, oh yes, 13th Step with Monica gets my vote. Okay, I love it. Do the comments anyway. Oh, Cassandra. Okay, yeah. Only one person on the live stream is able to pop the comments up, so that's the challenge. Harry says, Deconstruction with Jake Gyllenhaal, excellent movie. Oh,
what is that?
I'm gonna write that. I'm intrigued.
Same.
What is this? Is this about religion? What is this Deconstruction? I want to watch this right away. Just give us the name.
Speaking my language.
I mean, yeah. 3 hours is a long time. Yeah, we're vibing up in here. Oh my God, Robert Rules of Order. Yep. Robert Rules is an old standard. I don't even know what this is. I'm going to write this down. My pen's popping out. Oh, geez. Robert Rules.
Robert's rules.
We have Lavender foxes. You know what? I didn't have any of my squirrels today. Can you believe it? My squirrels are where I start unpacking the context to the point where my context has context, then I forgot my original point, and then I squirrel out, and then I'm like, what was I talking about? And then I'm like, oh, a squirrel. And then I'm like, oh yeah, wait, we're live. I didn't have one of those today. Weird. Lavender says, around here, most of the AA business meetings I was at followed the rules of order. So if you weren't familiar with it, couldn't get a word in edgewise. It was nuts. Okay, I'm going to have to look into that.
Yeah, that's crazy. I went to some big book thumpy meetings and I never heard of that. Oh, Sandra said I couldn't find that movie. It was Demolition. Oh.
So it's not deconstruction, it's demolition. Well, I'll look for both, but either way, yeah.
I'll look for both then.
You better work, bitch. Chase says, I'm no longer in AA either. I had a friend tell me if I don't go get a home group, I'll relapse. I'll laugh my ass off. I do, however, think the literature is up there with other great spiritual literature and teachings. Okay.
Sorry, I smoked when I was off.
Yeah. The idea that we're going to relapse if we don't get a home group, obviously that's baloney. I do think that there is evidence that shows that connection can be healing and helpful, especially with like-minded people in recovering from addiction. So nobody is denying that groups, that self-supporting groups can be helpful for people who are recovering from addiction, or being around like-minded people, or being around people who understand your problems can help you get through your problems. Support groups, whether like we were saying, like the cancer support group, or if it's going to be any sort of a divorce support group or anything, like there's of course benefit, but the idea that you're going to relapse without a home group is baloney. That's indoctrination. That's not true. You think the literature is up there with other great spiritual literature and teachings. I thought that as well when I was inside Alcoholics Anonymous. I thought it was this kind of spiritual text, was like mysterious and it came alive. And every time I read it, I found something new and all of that, right? I no longer see it that way. I see it as incredibly harmful and dangerous ideology. But I'm not right. You know, Chase's opinion is just as valid as mine. And there's going to be a lot of people that agree with you on that. And yeah, I really love that we can have different opinions and that we can have different perspectives, and we can still be respectful and civil, and we can all think different things. To me, it's all about thinking whatever you want. I don't know what anybody should think. I don't. And I like it when people who share all their thoughts, who might be, you know, especially if you're thinking something that you might think is a little bit out of the context or out of what might be norm in a deconstruction space. I love that. I love when people say, I'm still going to meetings and I'm here. Or when people say, like, I don't know, if they bring in their religion, or if they're smoking pot or whatever. I like that we can just be ourselves, you know, that there isn't like a control system in deprogramming. It's really about being ourselves and thinking for ourselves, and our thoughts aren't wrong. We can trust ourselves and our thoughts.
Harry Dodger said they told me that AA business meetings were risky for my sobriety. Sorry. I just like that Harry Dodgers. I don't know why that made me laugh. They told me that AA business meetings were risky for my sobriety. Wait, what? They told me that AA business
meetings because they're triggering as fuck, because people are like ruthless. They're so emotional. I could see they could, I could see why this is true, because like I said, my very first business meeting, I was supposed to be like in charge of it because I was the secretary of the meeting, and everybody was unruly and bananas, and like, how are you supposed to contain or hold the space for something that's like out of control? And I felt a lot of pressure, and I started having an anxiety attack. So yeah, I can see why someone would say a business meeting is risky for sobriety. Business meetings are not, they say, not a hotbed of mental health or whatever. Like,
I was always told if you're not, I forget exactly the phrase, but it was basically like the serious people go to the business meeting. So, but yeah, I mean, they were a little bananas.
Yeah, but then they say don't take yourself so damn seriously. Rule 62, bitch. It all contradicts itself, and then you could just pick apart whatever part of the doctrine that pleases the mood.
Right.
Kate said, I drank after the preamble debacle meeting. I was like, fuck this shit and fuck AA. Cheers.
Oh, Harry, is this about the movie? Are we talking about the Jake Gyllenhaal movie now? He lost his wife and started deconstructing everything in his life. That sounds fascinating. I want movies like this on my like to watch list and to chat with you guys about and to do live streams about. I think this isn't talking about the Jake Gyllenhaal movie.
Yeah, I think so.
If we do watch this and choose to like deconstruct it as a team, like in a live stream with you guys, we'll give you plenty of time notice to watch the movie before we come on live to unpack it. But I like the idea of watching things together too, if we do that.
Lavender Foxes said, and everything old business would drag on in debates. New issues in the groups would take months to address. So glad I'll never sit through one of those terrible meetings again. Facts.
They told me about the BMs too. Is that bowel movements? Are we back on the razor bump?
That's what I thought.
I'm just recalling my early trauma from the early part of this live stream. My bum is on the razor.
Good. Trish in Progress said the business meetings are also control freak games. The most arrogant alcoholics trying to control everything.
It could literally be its own topic. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's such like when you see the top dogs, right? When they do like it's just like, oh what yeah. Ugh. Yeah, totally. I'm picturing it in my head. Lavender Fox says business meetings are a pile of poop.
The custom sewing says, yes, the crazy ones go to a business meeting at 7 a.m. on Saturday. I was like, yeah, no, I will not go there at 7 a.m. on Saturday. You are insane. You know what? My home group, and I made it my home group because my sponsor went and she had a bunch of kids and it was the only meeting she went to that was kind of near my house. She lived kind of far from me. So I made sure to go. I made my home group her home group. So I would see her every week at a meeting. And it was called Too Early. And it was 8 a.m. on Saturdays, literally inside a church basement in San Francisco.
Early.
It literally was church basement. They weren't all church basements though. You know what I mean? Some of them weren't on churches, but a lot of them were. And this one was. But yeah, it was called Too Early, Saturday, 8 a.m. And we'd, of course, get there even earlier than early to make the coffee, whatever, do all the things. Kate says, for me, it's shattered. The only requirement is a desire to stop drinking, except trans and non-binary. That's when I realized it was all fake. I'm not sure I'm understanding that.
Yeah, I don't think I do.
So then the desire had to be more than just not to drink. You also, are they saying that trans and non-binary were not accepted? Or I'm not really clear exactly. And then Harry says, yes, it was demolition, not deconstruction. Okay, so we're talking about demolition, the Jake Gyllenhaal movie, Gyllenhaal. However, he didn't demolish his refrigerator at his TV and his house, deconstructed his life in general. Okay, yeah, that really interests me. So you guys like movies, topics as ideas for live streams. You like deconstructing specific parts of the ideology. Yeah, I have all the I won't ask you again what topics you want because we went through it last time. You're always welcome to message me with what topics you would want to recommend for a live stream or put it in the comments below. We did make a list of what y'all said last week, and I kept that list. This week was in response to what you guys said you wanted. So my vision is to keep doing these over time and keep Bernie and Bessie vibes alive. I don't know what the schedule will look like in the future, but our next one is on February 1st. So the next 2 weekends, there will be no Bernie and Bessie, but then we'll come back later, February 1st and do one. And I know on my site, I'll put it on Facebook, I'll put it on YouTube, and I'll put it in the Deprogram Lounge. If you are my YouTube, Deprogram Lounge is the first link below, and it's a free community. So I'll post it in there as well to let you all know about it in plenty of time. I love these. I love hearing what you think. What I love most about these live streams, aside from just like singing Britney Spears with Bernie over here is Weekend with Bernie is I love hearing from everybody live and direct and engaging with you. I love when you guys are talking with each other in the comments. I love that this is our safe space to like, meaning that there's not really a whole lot of, if really any AA diehards here being abusive in the comments. And we have a place where we can unpack things together in a safe feeling kind of environment where we can express ourselves and speak our truth. And even if you didn't feel comfortable to be known, like you want to stay anonymous in your deprogramming, you can obviously make a YouTube account that is, you can call it like Baloney Bananas and just sign on as a random name with no picture. So you can still be anonymous here too. So I really appreciate everybody who is, you know, writing the comments here, sharing what's on your mind. I think it's really helpful when we can see that it's not just Tara Grace. It's not just sobriety bestie Kirsten who left AA and realized it's baloney. It's a lot of us, and we get to learn and grow together. And there's actually a lot of us out here. Remember, 95% of the people who go to AA leave, right, or more. So most people leave AA, and a lot of us are actively deprogramming. There's also the other thing I want to say. I've heard from people, because I get a lot of DMs, and I like to share with you the kind of general vibes that I hear, because Terry, you'd be the same way, right? We get a lot of messages, a lot of comments, and I read a lot of them. So I have a feel for what people are sharing that they're thinking. And there's people who say they left AA like in 2000 or 2001, and they didn't realize how harmful it was, but they've been struggling with some things ever since. And it wasn't until now, like 2025, 2026, that they're realizing that they were indoctrinated. It was harmful, that they were in a cult, and they're starting to do the deprogramming now, and they're getting relief now. And that the ideology was still harming them, not being even in AA for like 20, 25 years until they started their deprogramming journey. And so it just makes me feel really good that we fucking know what's up, and that we are working to improve our lives and get that freedom for ourselves and get the ideology out of our head. I just think it's so cool. Like, if we're going to talk about gratitude, which I know is like a trigger for a lot of people, I'm really grateful that I understand that it's harmful, and that I've been actively working for my own liberation from AA ideology.
Yeah. Sandra Lee said, change name to Razors in the Bum.
This is like Bum the Stigma. Razor Bum. How did we even get here?
Fucked up world. Ginger Elise said, meetings were dysregulating for me, causing so much social anxiety. My sponsor's advice was go to more meetings. That's always the answer, right? I wasn't working it enough. Another common thing they say. This leads to severe burnout. I know now I'm autistic. LOL. Yeah, it's everything is always more meetings, more reading of the book, but definitely more meetings.
If the medicine isn't working, take more of it, take more of it, take more of it. You're not taking it right. You took it with a spoon instead of a fork or whatever that, no. Yeah. Okay. So Kate's following up for clarification. Yes, they said that men and women in the preamble. Oh, right. You were talking about the preamble. Should be kept, and we didn't have to be more inclusive. So by not including non-binary people, you're excluding someone who wants to stop drinking. Yeah. There's like no way to update it, right? Okay, we have Last Green Man here. What's up, Josh? Great to see you this afternoon, actually. Well into the afternoon where you are. What is the most dehumanizing and disgusting passage from any of the cult literature? For me, it's 12 and 12, paraphrasing. Can we run our lives on our self-will? One look in the mirror for any alcoholic. Yeah, there's so much in the 12 and 12 that's fucked up. That's a whole other chapter that I haven't even started unpacking, like in video or anything. What about that signing our own death warrant thing? Oh, clarification. Answer that question. Can we run our lives on self-will? One look in the mirror for any alcoholic answers that question. Disgusting. 100% yes. 100% yes. Yeah, I feel like it's so disabling of our self-trust, our critical thinking, our self-esteem. Yeah. Yeah. I think we're making good progress here, though. I think there's more and more people that are waking up to it and finding a way out. And you know, we stayed for the miracle. Tara Grace is still awake. You look like you're done.
Yeah, I'm done. I really I socialized my max capacity.
Social battery is done.
Yeah.
Wait, I thought we were doing a Bernie-a-thon.
Whoa,
We're gonna burn it down.
I guess I don't have it in me.
Too much bash. You got to be careful. You can't OD on the bashing. This is like
Yeah, seriously.
bashing gone wrong. Burning my 12 and 12 felt so good. I got a photo from somebody, a video of them burning their books. Okay, we're going to wrap this up. I just want to read this one first. Green Mountain Mama. I dropped the last sponsor I had when I realized that she was attending at least 3 Zoom meetings a day at 2 years sober. I definitely don't want what she had. So many unhealed people. Yeah. I guess the Zoom meeting made it really easy for people to be like compulsively going to meetings because then you can keep going all the time. That was never my story. Well, thanks everybody. We just hit a record. Our last record was last week. I think we went 3 hours and 15 minutes. Now we've gone 3 hours and 23 minutes. And y'all see what we look like now 3 hours in.
Yeah, look at me.
I want to get in the zone. My bum is on Bernie. My bum is on Bernie.
Oh my gosh. Thank you guys. Thank you for being here because you guys were here for a bit too. So thank you.
Yeah.
But I'm tapping out.
And anybody who caught the replay, let us know what you vibed with in the comments. Feel free to have that be a conversation down there. And if you're watching the replay and you don't know, you can hit a button on YouTube where you can see all the comments. I should mention this at the beginning of the live streams. You can see all of the comments that happen during the live stream as you watch it. You know, if you're watching the replay, which is so cool. So you can kind of see everything that's happening over here.
That is cool. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah. I should like figure out like what the instructions are, but there's a way that you can see all the live stream comments on the replay. Yeah. Lavender says, thanks for this episode. Already looking forward to February's episode. Have a great rest of your day. Bye. And thank you. And thank you, everybody. All right. I am going to over and out. Have a great day, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.